welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Gooden. I'm joined, as ever, by Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, it is perhaps the greatest day in living memory. And I know that people are going to say, Rob, it's hyperbole, you're exaggerating, but no, the return of Fukigen Death has been confirmed. Praise to the clown.
Well, we usually record on Wednesdays, but because we had a little snafu of something going around, so we had to record on Thursday. And yes, earlier this morning, around 5:30 a.m. my time, the news of news got dropped, my friend. The return of Fukigen Death, and maybe, Rob Guru, maybe that's why Stardom has now sold 11 of 14 sections are sold out for Sumo Hall. It's maybe because of the return of the clown, folks. I don't know. I mean, we're going to review shows. We're going to talk about Mina and AEW. We got some great stuff to talk about, but it's almost all downhill from here, except Rob Goodwin. I'm going to read you a text message from somebody in about 45 seconds, maybe your new best friend.
Intriguing.
So I got a text from my good friend, your good friend, one Andy Header, the other day. This was Monday. So this is how long I've been holding on to this text message, because I was going to send it to copy paste and send it to you. And I said, absolutely not. I'm all about great podcasting material. Now, before I read this text message, he does say the name Kelly. Just for anybody that knows, just for substance, Kelly is Andy's girlfriend. Okay, so just so right. Everyone,
so
we have
no idea, right?
So we have no substance. This is word for word from the great Andy Header. Keep on the hot frosty bit. Before Rob talked about it and how awful it was, I went out to a buffet with Kelly's parents. Her mom was talking about how she watched this Christmas movie about a snowman that comes to life, and he was really good looking. She said hot snowman or something like that. She said she really liked it. Then on my way home, I'm listening to the podcast, Us, to hear Rob saying it's rubbish. Stay away from hot frosty. I told Kelly, Andy's girlfriend, who's a sweetheart, by the way, the movie your mom was talking about what was called Hot Frosty. Rob said it's really bad. Ha ha
ha. Brilliant. I love it. That's fantastic. It is proper like Christmas movie fodder. But yeah, to the point now where my girlfriend will occasionally just listen to us when she's got nothing better to do at work. And she said, you really did hate Hot Frosty, didn't you? I was like, I can't stress enough how much I hated it. Yeah, so Andy, big up, my friend. That's made my day. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's that, and then Fukigen Death, who seems to have John Cena'd her injury, because I was under the impression, absolutely, you can't see clown. I was under, I'm sure it was announced that she'd torn her ACL and she was out for a full calendar year. Now, she tore her ACL after Amisori. Now, I know that Amisori obviously has got two separate tears, but it was good to see her, which we're going to talk about a bit later. But the fact that she has managed to get back in the ring, because this isn't her return match full stop, it's a return match in Stardom. She's actually wrestled a bloody match. The clown is insane. The clown is absolutely insane. She had a 25th anniversary show.
Is she a part of the insane clown posse?
Oh my God, this is for the juggalos and juggalettes.
We were from Hot Frosty to the insane clown posse, and folks, we're not even 5 minutes in.
Amazing. How are you, brother?
I'm really good, man. Really good. And, no sense to complain. There, we are in the. I actually meant to tell you this 10 minutes ago, but we are in the midst of a windstorm, which usually means my power goes out. There is a possibility that you may see me go boom, and then I might just have to go to my my cell phone to jump back on the podcast. But other than that, man, I can't complain. I can't complain. I am down to, I think, 10 full work days left of the year, and then I am done for 14, 15 days. So I'm excited about that, but I mean, what to complain about? We're this weekend. We got the semifinals and finals of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. We got some really good stuff coming on with Marigold. WWE's great. We got Mina wrestling Emi Sakura this weekend on Collision.
Yes, we do.
Really, really great stuff all around. But obviously, other than wrestling being great, life's good. No complaints. I'm a blessed man. How's things over your neck of the woods, my friend? How was football? Did you have football yesterday?
So
Pivot.
It was a time yesterday. So basically, because my girlfriend's car is broken, we went to work together. And me and Matt had organized that we were going to swap podcasts around because Marigold would be a really, really quick one because there was only one show to do. We were going to record Marigold yesterday, Stardom cast today, and everything was going to be hunky-dory because I had football practice at 8 o'clock. So anyway, long story short, I'd been to the gym and Kirsty was like, I'll pick you up at 5 because that's when I finish work. Fine. 5 o'clock rolls around. There's no one outside. It's absolutely hammering it down, by the way. It's freezing cold because it's the UK. And I was like, okay, she's probably just, stuck in traffic because where I work is notoriously gridlocked. 5:10 rolls around. Getting progressively soggier. 5:15 rolls around. Still no Kirsty. Ringer straight through to answer phone. Okay, cool, good. 5:20 rolls around. Still no Kirsty. People are walking past me. On their way out going, why are you still here, Rob? And I'm like, I don't know, is my answer. Honestly, I don't know why I'm still here. Can you not get in your car? Was one of them. I was like, if I had my car, do you think I'd be standing in the rain? So thank you to that one person that said that. Carried on anyway, got to 5:30. I was like, I think she might have forgotten about me. Exactly. So anyway, by 5:25, I was like, I had to text you and I was like, you might have to go solo on this Marigold Standard. Long story short, I'm still at work. And Kirsty rocked up at between 22 and 5:45. Very, very apologetic, in fairness to her. There was nothing she could do about it. She'd got pulled into a meeting, but because she thought the meeting would only take a little while, she didn't bother taking a phone with her. Anyway, it ended up taking her like the entire of the afternoon, and she couldn't go back and get a phone to tell me that she'd been pulled into this meeting that she didn't know she was a part of. So I was stuck absolutely sopping wet. So bless her, she treated me to a McDonald's that I paid for. I mean, I did fully utilize the fact that I was soaking wet because I was like, how nice does that McDonald's poster look, Kirsty? And she looked at me and went, go on then, we'll get a McDonald's. I was like, yes. Good things come to those who wait. And honestly, Matt, by the time that had finished, the rain was really, really hammering down at that point. And I was like, I really don't fancy going to football practice tonight. So I bunked off. I was like, nah, don't fancy it. I'll be perfectly honest. By that point, you'd already recorded the Marigold Standard because you are an absolute Iron Man. But yes, it was a time last night. It was a time. But yes, Kirsty's car still not fixed. So this could potentially happen again. So
keep me posted, buddy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, keep me
absolutely.
posted. We'll figure it out one way or another. Yeah. And apologies to everybody, all of our fans of the Marigold Standard, where that podcast not only was solo, it was like a 30-minute podcast because there was one show that had 5 matches on it and really not much news. So I try to stretch it out as much as I can. I, ran down the announce card for the 3rd of January and gave my quick predictions, but it's just, again, even if it was just me and Rob, it still would have probably only been maybe not. We probably could have got to an hour and a half because we would have just been talking about Koki Amare or Utami or something. But regardless, yeah, that's folks, I did the best I could, and I apologize. But that's card subject to change. That's just the way that it is. That's the way I'm sure we'll make it up for it on the Stardom cast because we have 3 great shows to talk about, and then we do have the finals of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, and that's probably going to roll us right into some card announcement for Dream Queendom. I imagine by this time next week we'll have a lot of the announced card because we are 3 weeks away. Crazy to say.
Yeah, my prediction is that we will get some sort of video package during the pay-per-view because the as it stands, the final on the 8th is going to be a half-price pay-per-view. The show on the 7th, where you've got the semi-finals and the playoffs, that is just live. So I imagine that during the pay-per-view, we are going to get some sort of video announcement, whether it's just a reshill of the one that they ran at Historic Crossover. I don't know, but I imagine that on either the 9th or the 10th, which is the Monday or Tuesday directly following, we will have some announcements for Dream Queendom. Not that apparently they need it, because as you've already mentioned, the ticket sales are doing incredibly well, considering, let's call it what it is, with one match on there effectively. We know that we're pretty much guaranteed to get Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid as well, but on the back of Sayaka Kamatani and Tam Nakano, and I think on the back of an absolutely fire last 6 months, I think Stardom are reaping the benefits. But before we get into all that, before we get into the news and the 3 cards that we're going to talk about that leaves us with the 6 remaining teams for Saturday, Matt Turner, what is coming up on the Patreon this week?
Our Patreon, our alternate commentary that may or may not have been released by the time you hear this, that'll be Shuri challenging Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's Championship from the 4th of January this past year in an absolute instant classic, and just not only one of the best matches of this year, maybe a top 15, 20 Stardom match of all time. That match was absolutely fantastic. And then next week, our alternate commentary will be UWFI Rules Shuri taking on Konami, because it is a Merry Shuri Christmas. And then as it is scheduled, as soon as Rob and I are getting done to record here, I'm going to be recording with Andy Heder our Mayu Iwatani versus Shuri rivalry review. Me and him are going to be going through all 4 fantastic matches, singles matches between Mayu and Shuri. So probably about this time next week, that'll be up on your Patreon feed as well. We have matches with Matt coming, which is I think I'm going to do Shuri versus Zumi from the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix, because that was a really good one in a match that I haven't seen in quite some time. And then tag team breakdown will be myself. And I think I'm going to record it early next week just to get it out of the way. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because there's so much stuff going on in the Stardom cast and Marigold Standard. But our tag team breakdown, Rob Gooden, we're up in the ante, buddy. We're up in the difficulty. We're doing the Generational Struggle 8-person tag match.
Ooh,
Shuri,
nice.
Tam, Julia, Mayu versus Aphrodite, obviously Saya, Kamatani, Utami Hayashishita, Micah, and Suzu Suzuki. So yeah, we are doing that match from Corkin Hall. Andy's never seen it, and I said don't watch it until we do the tag team breakdown. So a lot of great stuff coming along. And then also we are going to be doing the roundtable discussion is going to be top 5 Shuri matches, and then what if is going to be what if Shuri did defeat Mayu at the match we just did alternate commentary for, and Shuri did walk out of Stardom Gate as the IWGP Women's Champion. I don't know who I'm going to line up for that. I had that on my to-do list last week to do, and I didn't accomplish it. So hopefully in the next day or two, I'll find out who I'm going to rope in to do that. But it is a Merry Shuri Christmas, so a lot of great stuff, obviously, on the Patreon from the past, few years past. These past few months, we've been, hammering out a lot of content and a lot of great stuff coming up, not only this week, but the weeks to follow as well, my friend.
Absolutely. And just another massive shout out to all of our patrons over at the patreon.com/the Stardom Cast for all of your support. Every single one of you means an absolutely incredible amount to us. So thank you so much. And every time you say Merry Shuri Christmas, my head just goes, a Merry, Merry, Merry Shuri Christmas. Merry, Merry, Merry Shuri Christmas.
Now that's really stuck in my head, because that's all I listen to now during December. It's like, the metal goes away a little bit in my car. It's still in my headphones when I'm at the gym. Don't get me wrong, but in my car, it's nothing but Christmas tunes, and then like Howard Stern and like podcasts. That's like it.
Yeah. And speaking of podcasts, thank you to everyone. We had our Spotify Wrapped, which came out, which is always fun. We are 146 people's top podcast, which is nice. So thank you to everyone for that. And our follower growth has gone up by 664% on Spotify, which is absolutely nuts. So yeah, thank you very much. I don't think either of us really expected that. So very humbling. And obviously, thank you to everyone that gives us the time of day, listens to whether it's 2 seconds, 2 episodes, or, whatever you do. We massively appreciate you. So thank you so much. Right, let's get into some news then, Mr. Turner. First thing I want to talk about is a couple of matches that have been announced, including Stardom talent And we have our first official match confirmed for Stardom's New Year Dream 2025 on January 3rd. And I will just say that this has been confirmed before any matches for Dream Queendom. So this is official because it has a match graphic. No, but HANAKO took on Chihiro Hashimoto in a singles match on the 30th of November at Sendai Girls' Osaka show, which was a great match. Chihiro Hashimoto is fantastic. But following Chihiro Hashimoto's victory, Micah, who'd been seconding HANAKO, came out, basically laid out a challenge, Cup High Mate versus Team 200 kg, which is Chihiro Hashimoto. And Hashimoto has accepted the challenge, and that has been made official for January 3rd, New Year Dream 2025 from the Tokyo Garden Theatre in Ariake. Now, that is incredible just to begin with, to see Team 200 kg in Stardom. We haven't seen you in Stardom since January 2024 when she was a part of the Triangle Derby show, and we haven't seen Chihiro Hashimoto since that fantastic tag match alongside Sari against Saori Poi at the Cinderella finals, which was Natsupoi's return match actually, and that was a tremendous match. It is worth pointing out as well that you actually went to her personal Instagram a couple of days before this, November 28th, to confirm that she'll be taking a hiatus from pro wrestling effective January 5th. So this is one of the last matches we'll see, including you for, a substantial amount of time. How long this hiatus is, I don't know. But obviously we wish absolutely nothing but the best, I apologize, to you as she goes off onto this hiatus. I don't know whether it's injury or whether it's just a little bit of burnout or whether it's wanting to try other things. I don't know, but we wish her the best in whatever it is that she's going to do. Obviously, Matt, fantastic match setup. We wanted Team 200 kg in the tag league. We didn't quite get that, but give me Micah and Chihiro Hashimoto beating 7 shades out of each other. I cannot wait. And that's the same day, obviously, as First Dream, Marigold's show, which we're going to be talking about immediately following this. What a day for pro wrestling the 3rd of January is going to be. A wonderful precursor to Wrestle Kingdom.
And then with Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty the next 2 days. So again, the gifts keep on giving, even though after Santa Claus has dropped off all the presents underneath your tree. That's if you're good, folks. That's it. Make sure you're on the nice list, not the naughty list. Yeah, I think this was a match that you actually fantasy booked like 2 weeks ago. When this match was announced, you're like, I wonder if, please, I hope this leads to 200, you and Chihiro Hashimoto versus Cup High Mate. I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then when I saw that the match was announced, I'm like, Rob doing some fantasy booking and hitting it out of the park. But yeah, I mean, this is really cool. This is kind of a low-key dream match, because considering the fact that how great Micah and Hanako have been in the Goddess tournament, and obviously they have made the playoffs. They're not done yet. They can still have a few more matches, and then 200 kg is I know a lot of our listeners' favorite tag team in all of Joshi, even more than Wingori, more than O2 Line, more than FWC. A lot of people loved this team of Chihiro Hashimoto and you, and we're getting them proper for the first time as a tag team on the Stardom show. So, and if this is something that goes really, really well, once you decides to come back, and what I liked about you taking time off is she never said what the reason was, and that's 100% fine. That's really none of our business, but she never gave a timetable on it. Like, I'll be back in 6 months,
absolutely.
I'll be back in 7 months. So what's not to say, like, how cool would it be if, like, in the middle of the summer, there's this giant hate beatdown on like FWC or Wingori on one of the teams, like a big beatdown after a match, and then all of a sudden here comes you and Chihiro Hashimoto to make the big save to set up maybe like a versus match with Konami and Sayaka Matani or Momo Watanabe and Tekla or whoever. So that would be this could be like just a little bit of a preview. It's just like, hey, they obviously have this working relationship with Sendai Girls, which Sendai Girls is winning because they're doing really well because they're drawing a lot of tickets. They really, really are. I mean, they're low key, maybe the second biggest Joshi company after this last 5 or 6 months. Obviously, Stardom's benefiting from it because we got Miko Wada in Stardom. We got that Sherry versus Miko Wada match. So what's not to say, like, this is a one-off, and then let's bring this back once Yu is ready to, again, whether it's 4 months, 6 months, a year, that's completely up to her, and we wish her nothing but the best. But what's not to say we bring this tag team back 2 or 3 more times in 2025, and here's your first taste right here, a match with Micah and Hanako. This is great. It's because we've been wondering the last couple of weeks, like, how's this card going to be flushed out? Because we're getting a lot of big matches on Dream Queendom. At least we think we are. We only have one match announced. It's like they may say we already sold out 11 of the 14 seconds that are available. We're just going to give Tam and Saya and a whole bunch of random tag matches.
3-hour Iron Man match.
2-hour card, call it a day, right? 4 battle royals, call it a day. But we're like, what are they have to do something for that card on the 3rd, because they want to be drawing 1,500 people. Well, I'll tell you what, we're off to a really good start here. We really are. But again, nobody does tag team wrestling like Stardom. Nobody does tag team wrestling like we've been seeing the last year or two from the Joshi challenge over in Japan. And that's got Sendai Girls versus Stardom as our first match announced for the 3rd of January. I can't wait. Super excited for it. And great job on fantasy booking, my man. Great job fantasy booking. So the year didn't even start yet, and you're 1 for 1. So good job, buddy.
Well, I do try. I mean, what I would really love is for this to be an absolute barn burner match, which I think we can all agree it's going to be, because Cup High Mate have been doing great stuff in the Goddess Stardom Tag League. Team 200 kg are tremendous tag team. I would love for them to pick up the victory and Chihiro Hashimoto to challenge, whether it's Tam or whether it's Sayaka Kamatani, who holds the red belt following Dream Queendom. We've got that anniversary show coming up. Why not have Chihiro Hashimoto challenge for that red belt? Because that would be a huge match for whoever it is that holds that gold. I'm very, very, very excited to see that, to be perfectly honest, if that were to happen, obviously. Moving on to a different tag team that is going to be out and about. The 30th of December, literally the day after Dream Queendom, Fukuoka Double Crazy are going to challenge for the Oz Academy Tag Team Championships in Oz Academy's final Korakuen Hall show of 2024. They won a 4-way #1 contendership bout at Oz Academy's 27th of October show, which was at the Yokohama Budokan. They will be taking on the champions H2D, Ryu Mizunami and Sonoko Kato. They are the current champions, have held the belt for about 200 days. Also appearing on the card will be Saori Anou, Unagi Sayaka, Momoko Hanazono, and the best wrestler in the world, Kaori Oniyama. And I'm not even being sarcastic either. So yes, another great way to close out the year. Fukuoka Double Crazy, spreading the wrestling love in Oz Academy. And that card actually looks really quite stacked. So that has already been confirmed to be the main event of that Korakuen Hall show. But underneath that, you've got Saori Anou versus Mayumi Ozaki. Tsubasa Kuragaki, Akino, and Kohaku against Hiroya Matsumoto, Kaori Oniyama, and Momoko Hanazono. Ramkai Chao versus Zones. Jaguar Yokota and Itsuki Aoki versus Mayu Kihi and Kakeru. And then, just randomly, Unagi Sayaka versus Rina Yamashita, which, yeah.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
Wow.
There might well have been a lot of build to that. Obviously, I don't follow Oz Academy. I can barely follow my own train of thought. So, let alone anything outside of Stardom and Marigold at the moment. But yeah, I imagine that's going to be. I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely go out of my way to watch that, and obviously the Oz Academy Tag Team Championship match, Matt.
Rob, I know obviously you're looking at the card, buddy, on the interwebs. Is there any information how to watch that? Is there a live stream, a YouTube, or like a pay-per-view?
Just tickets at the moment. I imagine that there will be some way of streaming it, and one of our wonderful people on the Discord, I imagine, or on our Patreon, will be able to be far more helpful to you than may be, because I don't know.
Well, FWC, you said that's the main event of this Korakuen Hall show, and it
has been confirmed, yes.
It is on the 30th, which is the day after Dream Queendom. So maybe some of our fans that are trying to tell me that Hazuki is going to turn on Kagama on the 29th, maybe we bring that down a little, because I don't think they'd have Hazuki's first heel thing be on an Oz Academy teaming with their partner. She turned on the day before. I'm just saying, I put out there how much I love FWC's crushing it in the tag league, and I don't know what it is. People just like to try to hurt my feelings and try to get some negative in me, but it's never going to happen. Few people, Rob told me, enjoy it for a few months longer, because after FWC wins the tag league, which I have no problem with, Hazuki's going to turn on Kagama and join Hate on the 29th. I don't think it's going to happen now.
Who are these people? Who wants to see the world burn?
You know who it is, Rob? People that are on Santa's naughty list. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to get Cole. Yeah. And I don't mean Adam Cole, baby.
Magic. Just unwrapping it. I mean, he is quite a small man, but I don't think he's quite stocking size. Yeah, so it's going to be a great match. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, my exposure to Rhea Mizunami is almost entirely localized to her appearances on AEW, where she's been tremendous. As has, Sonoko Kato, I know absolutely nothing about. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. FWC are one of the best tag teams in the world. So I've got no concerns at all that they are going to absolutely knock it out of the park. Unfortunately, speaking of Kagama, she will not be the new number one contender for the Regina the Wave Championship, currently held by Sayaka Mitani. She was mercilessly beaten by Kohaku in the semifinals. So Kohaku has the chance to go on to the, she will be going on to the final. She has the chance to go on and face Sayaka Mitani for that belt, but it might not be Kagama's last chance for that belt. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Rob, real quick, buddy. Stardom World last week put up a whole bunch of non-Stardom matches. Did you by chance watch the Sayaka Mitani championship win from Korakuen Hall for that catch the weight belt?
I have not. I've seen they've put that. They've put the two Diana matches up from their Korakuen Hall, which was Haruka Umisaki and Momo Watanabe, and then the Rina tag as well. And then there was something else they put up as well, wasn't there? And I can't remember what that was, but I'll have to go out of my way to see that.
The Saya championship match, it's Saya, so it's good. She gets over as a face, and then her and Momo have to cheat to get over as a heel. But then there's a spot in the middle of the match where they do this comedy spot where they lay under a blanket, and I fast forward 10 minutes, and they were still doing the same spot where they're laying under a blanket in Korakuen Hall, and I was like, okay. It's a 32-minute clip that you can probably get through in about 14 minutes. I'm just saying, you will know when to fast forward.
32 minutes.
It's a 32-minute segment, something like that I was like, and it got over, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's Kamitani, main event Korakuen Hall, your big championship match. Like, I just never would see Mayu and Takumi Iroha doing this 4 years prior. You know what I mean? But it's it's Wave. It's not Stardom. And I was just like, okay, this isn't, my championship match cup of tea, but it got over. God bless them. But if you are watching it, you can probably fast forward about 12 minutes through it.
Fair enough. I will do that. Something I will not be fast forwarding, though, is Marigold First Stream, because they have officially confirmed the matches today that we knew were going to happen, or the vast majority anyway, through their social media channels. And we have official match graphics, which, as we know, is what makes everything official. But as confirmed before, we knew that Utami was going to be challenging the winner, I apologize, of Sari and Nanae Takahashi, that match on the 13th of December, which is going to be live on Wrestle Universe. That had already been announced, as had the debut of Sari Yamaoka. However, challenges have been laid out for other matches and things like that, but nothing have been confirmed. However, today we have had 3 championship matches confirmed to be happening at the Otaward City Gymnasium. The aforementioned Utami Hayashishita title challenge, of course, Otaward, a very happy hunting ground for Utami from she had that fantastic match against Syuri there. We have the white belt match, the United National Championship. Mai Sakurai taking on champion Miku Aono. And then we've also got the GHC Women's Championship. Koki Amare defending that belt against a returning Chika Goto, who announced that she'll be returning to in-ring action on the 13th of December. And we also have the first Dream Rumble with something very intriguing emblazoned across it, saying that there will be participants from other organizations. Now, it's not going to be NXT, so please don't. It's not going to be NXT, so don't. But that's very, very, very exciting, and I'm intrigued to see who we get in that Rumble. We know they being Marigold, a partnership, obviously, with Noah. And therefore a partnership of sorts with Marvelous. So would I be remiss to think that we might get the Great Sakura, we might get Miyuki Takase, we might get Takumi Iroha? Those names are more likely the ones that we get. Now, it's great because it means that everyone gets a chance on the card. Everyone wants to get on this pay-per-view card. I don't imagine that there are going to be big names from the Marigold side in this, because we've already got a whole host of championship matches announced, not confirmed on this, but one that we pretty sure is going to happen is Victoria Yuzuki versus Natsumi Shozuki for the Superfly Championship. That hasn't been announced officially, but I imagine that is going to be announced fairly soon. So we could potentially see Kazuna Tanaka in the Rumble.
Ooh.
The other person that I think isn't on the card, is the big noticeable miss on the card, and someone that will absolutely not be in that Rumble is Mirai. Because I saw people saying that Mirai was going to win the Rumble. Mirai will not be in that Rumble. I would be amazed if they waste the potential of Mirai in a Rumble. I am going to stick by my guns and assume that she is going to be the opponent for Seri Yamaoka.
Yeah, you know who else is going to be in that Rumble? Because I've been getting this already too. I'm waiting for Rob to finish his coffee because he's going to spit it out. Is Mayu. Stop it, guys. Stop it. She's wrestling she's probably going to be on that Stardom card on the 3rd, and she's wrestling for Stardom for the Tokyo Dome the day before. She's not going to. Yep. I've already gotten that. I'm like, just please, just stop.
Can you imagine that not only does she jump ship from Stardom to Marigold, she jumps ship and comes in the middle of the New Year's Dream Rumble and ends up being eliminated by, I don't know, the Great Sakura or something.
And then she puts her, as she gets in there, she cuts a promo where she puts the IWGP title on the line in the Rumble on a Noah show. It's not, you know what I mean? Because you're going to have no participation there. But my guess, did they announce what the winner of the Rumble wins, Rob? Is it a title shot at, my guess would be a title shot at probably one of the belts, maybe the Noah belt. That's the way that I would go about it, and have Takumi Iroha win. And then my guess is Koki Amare is going to retain against Chika Goto, setting up Takumi Iroha versus Koki Amare at a big Cork and Hall show either in January or February. It's instant booking right there. She wins the Rumble. It's your first or second match. That Pro Wrestling Noah, the GHG Championship match is probably going to be 3rd from the top. My guess is red belt, white belt, and then that match. And then maybe after that, Takumi Iroha comes out and she challenges Koki Amare, and you set it up for the next Corkin or the Corkin in February. That's easy booking. You're going to have a lot of people watching that show, whether it's on Wrestle Universe or whether that's going to be live in the building there. Again, it's easy booking and straight ahead booking. So that would be my guess. I think you'll see some of your rookies. Again, a lot of people will have time to get on the card, because my guess is with those 3 championship matches, the red belt with Utami versus probably Sari, that's going to be well over 20 minutes. Miko Ano versus Mei Sakurai, which I made mention they did a great job building it up on the last show. They did a great job. That's going to go plus 20 minutes. My guess, Koki Amare and Chika Goto will be 14, 15, and then depending on what's going on with the Twin Star Championship at that point. So you're going to have 3-4 matches that are going to go somewhere between 15 to 25 minutes. So you're going to have shorter matches on the card. Why not put majority of the roster in this Rumble and throw your surprises on there? I think one person that is going to be on there, because I'm shocked this person has not showed up in Marigold yet, because this person has a great relationship with Rossi. My guess is you're going to see Unagi in that Battle Royal, because I'm shocked she has not appeared on a Marigold show just yet, because her and Rossi have a great relationship. So my guess is you'll see Unagi in the Rumble. Maybe Rob. Ooh, I just fantasy booking. Jungle Kiona.
You beat me to it. I was waiting for you to finish. I was like, do we dare to hope? It would be tremendous to see Jungle Kiona do that, just because just from different Instagram posts and stuff, it just seems that she misses wrestling. Obviously, I know that I love Jungle Kiona, but I know her knees are basically made of a wish and a prayer at this point. But I'd love her just to get a little bit of closure on a run, because it feels like we never really got the closure with the Tokyo Cyber Squad. This injury, she then left, did a little bit on the independents, did a little bit for Noah. so it was her idea, I suppose, if you're like, well, at least it was the first sort of announcement of the GAC women's title. That sort of nugget was sown by Jungle Kyone. It would be amazing for her to win that Rumble and then get a championship opportunity at Koki that would come full circle and it'd be great. Obviously, I don't know what Jungle Kyone's fitness is, what her actual desire to wrestle is. Again, it's called the New Dream Battle Royal. So exactly, we can dream. Just before we talk a little bit about Mina Shirakawa in AEW, because obviously she has her title match next Wednesday against Mariah May for the AEW World Women's Championship. I just want to talk about something that caught my eye on Twitter, which is always a dangerous way to start something. But Sari had an interview with Tokyo Sports where she said she had received a large number of messages in her DMs. You know where this is going, don't you? To tell her to quit being a wrestler and criticizing her for the use of the Uranagi. Now, obviously, this comes after the injury to Nanae Takahashi, which caused the postponement of their Crimson Red Belt match. But this has been translated by Mira Wrestling on Twitter. All credit to them. This was courtesy of Tokyo Sports. I'm sorry that I ended up injuring her, but I didn't do it with the intention of injuring her. Of course, the Uranagi is an important move for me, so I will continue to use it in the future. I'm truly sorry for causing concern to both the fans and the wrestlers, but I'm fine. I'll continue to show my strength in the ring. It's worth noting that wrestlers that go out to intentionally hurt someone else are like hen's teeth. They are so rare. Wrestling, if anything, is a profession where you are trying to look after the person across the ring. I don't think no one that I spoke to in regards to that Uranagi, their reaction was not, Sari's done that on purpose. Sari is injured Nanae on purpose. Unfortunately, stuff like this happens in wrestling. First Marigold show, Bozilla injures Julia. Does she do it on purpose? No. Does she do it because she's unsafe? No. Just like Sari here. Yes, it's a dangerous move. Absolutely. As are a lot of moves in in Japanese wrestling, especially. The fact that she's received DMs from people who apparently have got nothing better to do with their time than to be hurtful and just annoying more than anything is incredibly disappointing. Obviously, being upset for Nanae is something completely different than going after the person that's injured her. Again, there's not a chance that Sari has done this on purpose. So why this is a thing, I've got no idea. And it's something that, unfortunately, a very small minority of wrestling fans will insist on doing. We've seen it before with people who've made mistakes and have then been hounded on social media. And it does it adds to the fuel of social media at the moment being a very toxic place to be.
Be better, people. Be better.
Yeah.
Sorry feels bad enough. She's a pro's pro. How many times have we seen her do that Uranagi? Hundreds between, what she did before NXT and NXT since she came back. And we mentioned it when the injury happened, when we talked about it on the Marigold Standard a few weeks ago. Injuries happen. And whether it's a move like that, like the Uranagi, or whether it's something as simple as, what Pac was when he was Neville in WWE, he did a baseball slide and broke his leg. Like, you just never know what's going to happen. But considering the fact that Sari's probably given that move close to 200 times and know about, that's a pretty good stat, because it is a very dangerous move, folks. And it's pro wrestling. It's not ballet. I know it's cliche to say, but it's not ballet. Stuff like that does happen. We see these wrestlers that they're taped up and they're working hurt and they're working injured. This is something that probably it was an accident. And not only that, but Nanae Takahashi has been wrestling a lot of years. So there was probably a lot of wear and tear on her back and her neck going into that match. And this might have just been the last straw that broke the camel's back, to say. So it's like, first of all, like, she feels bad enough to begin with. The fact that people are trying to get, and what this really is the minority of fans on social media that have nothing else better to do. More than likely, their profile picture is not their actual picture. They're hiding themselves. They're trying to get themselves over. Folks, be better. Be better. And I'm willing to bet almost every dollar I have in the bank that these people that are hounding Sari are people that have never, ever taken a bump in a pro wrestling ring before. And that's stuff that really just pisses me off. You think you know, but you have no idea what pro wrestlers at the highest level go through. So be better, people. Be better. If anything, if you're going to DM her, have her back. Have her back because she feels bad enough. She feels bad enough. And sorry is a pro's pro.
I mean, again, people who deliberately set out to actually hurt someone in all of sports, not just pro wrestling, are so rare. We had to have a match stopped. It was before I did my ribs, and one of our players. So again, this is going to be a lot of soccer terms. So for our American audience that don't know soccer, please bear with me. But whilst someone was about to kick the ball, one of our team, one of their players literally just kicked the ball away. Just tackled them, got the ball, kicked it away. But our player was already following through with their kick and has ended up kicking the bottom of the opposition player's foot. It happens. But the way he's kicked it just above his own ankle and it's broken his leg. And it was a complete accident. It's such a freak occurrence. And the player on the other team was devastated. He hasn't set out to do it. He hasn't done anything, but he's absolutely devastated. And that is probably how Sari feels. Like, she's got to put on this 100%. Face because they're in the ring. They made it into an angle at Korakuen Hall with Naoya Ishikawa, which I actually really liked. I thought they executed the angle really, really well, pointing to Nanae before hitting now with the Uranagi. But the chances are that inside, she feels horrendous. And the last thing she needs is that amplified by that few, and unfortunately they're the same few that repeatedly jump on stuff like this and seem to flourish in the negativity, let's say. But I just wanted to point that out and say, stop it. Just don't be a knob.
Yeah, be better. Be better, folks. Yeah. Be better. It's the holiday season. Be kind. Be kind all the time. Be kind every day. If the day ends in Y, be kind to one another. That's it.
Exactly. Give your friends bottles of champagne, like Mina Shirakawa did to Mariah May on AEW television yesterday. Mr. Matt Turner, I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about this. The floor is yours, good sir.
Yeah, I'm super excited because now we're seeing Mina. Mina was like, when she came to AEW, it was like kind of just getting her feet wet. She was working like quicker matches, and then they built up to that excellent match she had with Toni Storm in Forbidden Door, and she's been kind of going back and forth between Stardom and AEW. We were kind of just waiting for like something to happen. We knew it was going to because of the turn Mariah did on Toni Storm. Where does Mina lie in this? And now we're getting the big Toni Storm versus Mariah May match at Winter is Coming. And I know when we recorded last week, we were like, we hope this isn't, when is this going to happen? We thought it might have been World's End, which would have taken Mina out of Dream Queendom. Obviously, it's not. I think this is a pay-per-view level match. However, Tony Khan's not one above giving pay-per-view level matches on free TV. That's for darn sure. So this is going to be this upcoming Wednesday, Mina versus Mariah May. Rose Gold explodes. Very much like Hogan and Savage at WrestleMania 9. The Mega Powers explode. Same thing. And I like the way this has been built. The promos, Mariah May's promos are some of the best in all of wrestling. Like, she's come a long way in such a short time with her promos. Obviously, Mina, she's getting better at speaking English. So her promo, she's not going to be able to be as articulate as Mariah May. So they're doing a great job having Mariah carry the majority of the promos. But when they did that backstage promo with Mariah May, and then Mina giving the champagne bottle, basically saying, hey, let me work. And I like Mariah May's promo where she said Thunder Rosa had a song, came out on Collision, had a sign that women's wrestling is alive and well. He goes, and Mariah May said something, and I'm paraphrasing, no, it's dead and buried because I'm the one holding the shovel. I thought that was great. Basically saying Mina hasn't worked since she's been here. Then Mina gets in her face, gives her the champagne bottle, and says, do it to my face and make me work. So we're going to see the Mina Shirakawa. And again, Mina's been having some good matches outside of the Toni Storm match at Forbidden Door. Everything just been good, passable, right? Because she hasn't really been able to sink her teeth in anything. I think we're going to be getting the Mina that we got in the 2022, 2023 5-star Grand Prix. We're going to get the Mina that was on the road to the Wonder of Stardom Championship with that great 3-match series of Sayaka Kamatani. I'm not going to say they're going to be as good as that because I love Mariah May. She's no Sayaka Kamatani, but who is? But at the same time, it's going to be a great, great match. And I'm really, really excited for her. I'm also really excited that this Saturday on Collision, she's taking on a Joshi legend that can still go in Emi Sakura. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Mina's got some real, I mean, what a great way for newer fans to AEW, newer fans to Stardom, that'd be like, okay, Winter's Coming is kind of like one of their bigger dynamites of the year, if not the biggest. I'm going to tune into this and be like, wait, who's this Mina Shirakawa? You're going to get a preview on Saturday against Emi Sakura. And one thing, and Rob, you always bring this up, and you brought this up really well when you talked about Anna Jay's performance in the 5-star Grand Prix, where she had great matches, but probably her best performance was against Xena. And you brought up maybe because there's no language barrier between the two. Like the Soriano match is great, the Shuri match is great, the Starlight Kid match is great, but when you speak the same language, you can put together more contrived spots, and if something goes wrong in the match or you want to change something, you can do it because you speak the same language. Where again, Mina's had really good matches, and we know Toni Storm does speak some Japanese because she spent quite a bit of time in Japan because of Stardom, but there's going to be no language barrier there between the two. So they can go and have their big spots. If they want to change something mid-match, they can do that because they'll have that communication. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that they're going to have an absolute home run there. And then she has that big match with Mariah May. So I'm loving everything that they're doing with Mina. My only question is what happens next? Because my guess is that Mariah May defeats Mina. And that's the way it should go.
Oh,
Mariah May is on fire because it's kind of the end of Mina's arc. Then does she come back to Stardom? And then we see what's going to happen when her contract ends in March. And then we go from there. That's a possibility. And that's why I kind of just want to ask you and use this forum. Rob, obviously you disagree with me. We think that Mariah May is going to get the win, and rightfully so, because there's way much more to the Toni Storm arc once Toni comes out of her retirement, which he thinks she's going to do. And it may be this week. It may be this week. We will see Toni back in AEW. But after this is over with, basically the Mina story arc is kind of over, at least for now. So what do you think they do? You think they kind of just put her in preliminary matches? Or do you think that she's going to come back over to Stardom until AEW has something for her? Regardless, whatever she does, it's going to be great because it's freaking Mina Shirakawa.
It is Mina Shirakawa. I do think that she will go back to Stardom. There's no point to sticking around in AEW for the sake of sticking around in AEW, especially if they don't have anything for her. This, as you absolutely spot on pointed out, this is the end of her arc. The Toni Storm and Mariah May rematch is what they're building to, and rightly so. I know that Toni at the moment has a torn labia. I don't know if how far along she is in terms of the recovery to that. I imagine the match is going to be set for the Australia show in February. But I imagine they will probably do some sort of build. I imagine maybe at World's End, maybe we'll see Toni turn up on Wednesday. I don't know. But yes, so I think it's wise for Mina Shirakawa to come back to Stardom. We don't know what's happening with the Triangle Derby in 2025, whether that is continuing or not. If it is, obviously she will be in that with probably Micah and HANAKO, I would have thought, which is a fearsome trio. I'd like to see her challenge for belts, for singles belts, because I don't feel like she's had the rub of the green in terms of singles belts in Stardom. She rode that wave to have that match with Sayaka Kamatani to then win the white belt, had a banger of a match against Natsupoi, and then obviously lost the match against Tam and was never near the scene again. And I feel like it was a premature end to it. I feel like she would be a very good challenger for the red belt, especially if Tam comes out of, well, either way, you've got
I was ready to say, either Tam or Natsupoi, if Natsupoi is successful. Those are two ticket drawing matches you can do for your anniversary show. Your first, big pay-per-view of next year, Mina versus Tam, red belt, or Mina versus, we thinking and Natsupoi, if that's the way they go, because Mina can say to Natsupoi, last time we were in the ring for this belt, I beat you. Easy story to tell. And you're drawing more eyes because we're having more English commentary over on, going into 2025. Mina, big star and over in AEW. They're doing great things with her. But as you, and I apologize for interrupting you, partner. But as you were talking, I just thought, why not if Tam's successful in this match, or even if it's Kamatani successful?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Go ahead. Continue, partner. Go ahead.
No, not at all. All I was going to say was whether it's Tam or whether it's Saya coming out of Dream Queendom, she has history with both. She makes a very, very good first title challenge. I'm not saying that Mina Shirakawa should win the red belt. I'm saying that she should be someone considered in that vein of a good challenger to both of the main singles belts in Stardom, which even though she is a former white belt champion, which is wild to say, I don't feel like she is rightly put in that sort of upper echelon of Stardom, because she just doesn't challenge. She hasn't had a belt since a singles belt in Stardom anyway, since May of 2024, and 2023. Like, it's been 18 months, and to my knowledge, unless I'm very, very much mistaken, she hasn't had a singles belt opportunity since. And I don't really understand why. Because even if she loses, which I think she probably will, that she is capable of putting on really good matches. That Saya Kamatani match was fire. Absolutely fire. That match with Natsupoi, incredible. Really, really, really good. And I think when Mina Shirakawa is allowed to stretch her wings and isn't just, the dance and the eye candy that's, she seems to be on undercard tags, and when she's not in important programs on AEW, she is a very, very good wrestler, one that has improved very, very much. So I'd like to see her more in that picture. If she was the one to come out at Dream Queendom and challenge the winner of Tam or Saya, I don't think there would be a single Stardom fan that's going, nah, I don't fancy that. I think it's a logical step because of the history she's got with both people. Even if she comes out and challenges Natsupoi, she's got history with Natsupoi. Natsupoi, if anything, was the reason that Mina Shirakawa left Cosmic Angels in the way that she did, because of Tam's obsession with Natsupoi. So, yeah, I think bringing her back to Stardom is one thing. Giving her something to do is quite the other. And I know that Stardom are in the rather enviable position of having one of the most stacked rosters they've ever had, in terms of main eventers and people in the red belt and white belt scene. I mean, when was the last time Mayu had a red belt shot? 2022?
Yeah, Sherry. Yeah, 2022 Sherry. Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't had one in ages. We've got people like Azumi coming up. We've got people like Azuki, who's never won a singles title. You've got Saori Anou, again, who is quite easy to plug into that. You've got Momo Watanabe, who we are finally pushing in the correct way. Hallelujah. We've got Maika, who's doing nothing at the moment. Shirakawa, who we've spoken about. Syuri, who has not had a red belt match since December 2022, has not had a singles title match since 2022. I'm not counting the IWGP. It's not a Stardom title. It's a New Japan title. Just Konami. Before I get people in the comments.
Konami and the white Konami, and we'll talk about Konami on these shows, was great when she's not doing the gimmick.
Much improved. Yeah, she's not doing the gimmick. Yes.
Great. Who wouldn't want to see Konami versus Natsupoi or Starlight Kid, or once Hazuki wins the championship? Hazuki, there's so much there. But just to kind of put a pin in the Mina Shirakawa segment for this topic, Mina Shirakawa tweeted out about an hour or two ago she was eating at a Waffle House. Which, if you are an independent wrestler in America, it is a rite of passage. It doesn't matter how many bumps you take, how many rings you load, how many miles you run, how many squats you do. You are not a professional wrestler in America if you don't eat at the Waffle House. So congratulations to Mina Shirakawa.
Now, I will say, obviously, my flights are now booked for Las Vegas. I will be in Las Vegas for WrestleMania week. It is official. Obviously, we don't know if Stardom are even running a show. Maybe that's something we get announced during Dream Queendom. But I've never eaten at a Waffle House. I've been to America a large amount of times I've never eaten at a Waffle House. I imagine Vegas will have to be the time that we eat at a Waffle House, because I was looking at the menu that Mina Shirakawa has put on Instagram. That sausage and cheese hash brown bowl, oh my God. I legitimately put on weight looking at the picture. I'm so excited.
I haven't been to a Waffle House in a while, Robin. I'll give a quick Waffle House story. I was at a bar that was maybe about 50 yards away from the Waffle House, a bar we used to visit back in our youth. It was me, my buddy Paul, who he can throw down drinks when called
yes.
upon. He's the Mayu of throwing down drinks, and then my buddy Jeff, who's just the best guy ever. So yeah, you go to the Waffle House to soak up some of the non-protein shake that you that you put into your body. But the one thing you have to get is the chocolate chip waffles, because they make them right in front of you. You put they're so hot, and then by the time you put the syrup and the butter on it, it all melts together. You get that with some loaded hash browns, and one of the reasons why wrestlers go there is you can actually get grilled chicken breast. So you can't eat pretty clean at a Waffle House. And then of course it's a breakfast place, so you can get eggs, egg whites. So it's just like, you want that waffle to soak up the alcohol, because I got a feeling that we're going to be drinking quite a bit of alcohol. You do want that waffle. However, that chicken breast too on top of it before you go to bed at night, you wake up like a new man, buddy. You wake up like a new man.
I will be perfectly honest. If I go to Waffle House, I will not be wasting my time with chicken breast and egg whites. That is not why Rob Goodwin goes to a Waffle House. Anyway, let's start talking about these shows, because we have got 3 of them to go through. What I will say is, because we've got 3 of them, unless there is something huge that goes on in the non-tournament matches, we probably won't be talking about them, because there is so much to talk about in relation to the actual tournament matches. So please bear with us in regards to that. So we'll start with night 13, which emanated from Big Palette Fukushima on Sunday, the 24th of November. The announced attendance at Big Palette was 469, a 10.3% decrease from the last time Stardom ran the venue almost a year ago, to the day that they ran that venue last, which was November 26th, 2023, when they drew 523. Though it's not the lowest house that they've drawn to the venue, it's the second smallest, and is below their average house of 522. And it also falls below the tournament average of 545. So something to bear in mind. Something else to bear in mind, already eliminated from the tournament prior to this show: Team Classroom, Lady C and Hina from Blue Goddess, and Inaba and Yagami, Tomoka Inaba and Rani Yagami from Red Block. Fukuoka Double Crazy can win the Red Block, by the way, if Cup High may lose to Psy Queen. Looking at the results then, Goddess of Stardom Tag League Blue Goddess match, Wingori, Hanan and Saida moved to 7 points, defeating Reckless Fantasy, who remain on 4, Waka Tsukiyama and Rian. Hanan pinning Rian with the blockbuster hold in 7 minutes and 36 seconds. In a 3-way match, Azumi defeated Matoi Hamabe, and Natsupoi pinning Matoi Hanabe with the Azumi Sushi in 7 minutes and 50 seconds. More Blue Goddess action. Team Classroom, Lady C and Hina moved to 4 points, defeating Devil Princess, Rina and Azusa Inaba, who remain on 8 points. Hina pinning Azusa Inaba with the modified jackhammer in 11 minutes and 31 seconds. In a wild 4-way tag, Anacon, Syori and Saki Kashima defeated Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki and Koguma, Hate Supreme, Momo Watanabe and Tekla, and Neo Genesis, Miyu Wamasaki and Meisera. Saki Kashima getting the pinfall over Meisera after a Syori high kick in 7 minutes and 54 seconds. Blue Goddess action, Mad Tiger Girl, Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid moved to 9 points, defeating Sakura Demon, Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura, who remain on 4 points. Starlight Kid submitting Yuna Mizumori with the Black Tiger leg killer in 10 minutes and 57 seconds. In the red goddess block, Inaba and Yagami, Tomoka Inaba and Ran Yagami move to 4 points, defeating Peach Rock, Mayu Iwatani, and Momo Kohgo, who remain on 4 points. Inaba pinning Momo Kohgo with the Inaba drop in 12 minutes and 44 seconds. In your semi-main event, red goddess action, Tokameki Purin a la mode, or T-Palm, Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurura moved to 6 points, defeating BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka, who remain on 6 points. Sayaka Kurura pinning Ruaka with the Tokameki cutter in 11 minutes and 53 seconds, I apologize. And then in your main event, red goddess match, Cup High Mate Maika and Hanako moved to 12 points, defeating Sai Queen, Saya Kamatani, and Konami. With Hanako getting the pinfall over Konami with a triangle Lancer reversal in 15 minutes and 15 seconds. Matt, lots to talk about, but in that opening, it was a nice surprise to see Fukushima native Ami Sourei, who of course is out with injuries. She opened the show, welcomed the crowd, explained that it's still going to be a while before we see her in the ring, but she has been able to walk to the ring, which she wasn't able to do last time Stardom came to Fukushima. So I think that is a huge, huge win. And to see her at ringside was something really, really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I think this is the second time that we've seen her since the injury, so it's nice to see her, come back, just cut a little promo, just so people, hey, remember me? Yeah, I'm coming back. It's going to be a little bit, but I'm coming back. But Rob, I wonder if I watched this show out of order because you just gave over the results, and I don't know if Stardom World had them different when they broke it up. Oh, okay, because I was like, wow, the opener was.
They had it in a really weird Yeah, they had it in a really, really weird sort of way, I think.
Okay, so there's going to be, as you're asking me what match to review, it's going to be a lot of turning the page because I was like, wow, Mike and HANAKO versus Konami and Sai Kamatani as your opener. That was one of the best matches of the show, but you told me that was the main event, huh? Okay, so there you go. Yeah, it was really great seeing Ami Sourei, and again, hopefully she'll be back maybe sometime in the spring. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be ready for the Cinderella tournament. So that, and I mean, if that is possible, if she does come back, that'd be a really good way to pump up that tournament, as it's the return of Ami Sourei, who made it to the semifinals last year and the finals this year. So, and that's one way that they can kind of really plug her back in that tournament if it is time. But again, I like the fact that that she's coming, from these homecoming shows that the shows they're doing from her hometown. She's there, she's cutting promos, she's probably taking pictures and autographs with the fans. That's really, really good. It's really, really good to see. It's good to keep her fresh in everybody's mind, considering in fact all the awesome stuff Stardom has going. We're done with the 5-star. We're at the tail end of this tournament. We're into these big shows coming up at the end of the year. And by the way, Ami Sourei is still here. She's rehabbing, and she's going to be back for 2025. Something really cool. I really like seeing that because she's just so infectious and somebody that's so endearing to the crowd.
Yeah, and I think as someone who had that 5-star taken from her as well, someone who I think we thought would do quite well in the tournament, it wouldn't surprise me if she's fit, if she's ready to go for the Cinderella, she would be my preliminary pick to maybe win the tournament. But again, it depends on her because that might be too soon for a return, especially if she hasn't just got an ACL injury, she's got a meniscus injury as well. So we'll see. We will see. But obviously, it's great to see her in the ring. We'll start then with the Wingori versus Reckless fantasy match, which was the opener. So as a result of their defeat against Wingori and the fact that Mad Tiger Girl were then able to defeat Sakura Demon later on the card, Reckless Fantasy have been eliminated from the tournament, Matt. And I would honestly say that's the biggest miscarriage of justice in Stardom's entire history.
And again, I'm glad that you said this was the opener because I was like 7 minutes for a main event. That was really, really weird. Again, we knew when we did the preview for this tour, I'm like, they'll get like, maybe 2 points, maybe 3 points, and 4 points out of the chute. And that was it, like a supernova, my friend, just burned bright and then died out fast. But these two were great as a tag team. They really, really were. I was shocked. Again, we figured it was supposed to be Rice and Bread. It was probably going to be Waka and HANAKO as a tag team, and then Xena and Maika. But then obviously Xena got injured, and they had to reshuffle the card. So my guess is this Waka and Rena team was almost put together last second. And they, as far as match quality goes, they crushed it. They were great as a team, really great as a tag team. And again, Waka's another one that it's like, let's start building Waka up. And again, Rianne's only been wrestling, 7-8 months. She's terrific, but great in this tag team. They worked really well with Hanan and Sayaka. You know, you have the babyface versus babyface dynamic, EXV versus Stars dynamic, some excellent tag team work back and forth. Obviously, the tag team experience goes to Wing Gory in this. So, and really great stuff there towards the end with Hanan and Rian. Again, we've seen Hanan being able to take it, considering the fact that Hanan's still only a teenager and she's still very young into her life and in her wrestling career. The fact she's able to take these rookies or the wrestlers that have only been wrestling a year and a half and elevate them to almost to her level is a really credit to her. And that's what she did here towards the end of this match. The fact that this one went a little under 8 minutes, told the story it needed to tell. Again, a really good tournament as far as wrestling goes for Reckless Fantasy. And Wing Gory is really, really coming on strong, considering the fact, and we'll get into it when we preview the two shows this weekend, considering the fact there's a possibility they can have 3 bangers in 24 hours. Really can cement the tournament for them. But this was a really solid match, and I guess a solid opener. Not a main event, a solid opener. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, it's interesting the chemistry between Reckless Fantasy, because as you mentioned, I imagine that it was going to be Rise or Breads and then Xena and Micah, and I think HANAKO was bent. Those two have really, really gelled as a team really, really well throughout the tournament. But Rian as well, given this opportunity. And the fact that they've shared the pinfalls as well, it hasn't just been Waka getting the victories and Rian then been pinned for every single loss, because obviously we saw Waka Tsukiyama get submitted by Aya Sakura later on in the run. I think Rian has been another success story in this tournament. She's reacted well to whoever that she has faced, whether that is a frantic opening against Natsupoi to having the absolute hell beaten out of her by Hate Supreme. I think she's progressed really, really well. It actually reminds us that Waka Tsukiyama can wrestle. She's not all about the bum-based offense, even though it is as deadly as it is. It's a good match, a good opener, and something that you mentioned about Hanan as well. I feel like the perception has changed around Hanan this year. I think maybe with the Cinderella win, she is still a teenager, yes, but you don't see that in her anymore. Whereas with some of the other teenagers, you do see them as teenagers. Okay, you see them as rookies, you see them as inexperienced. But because Hanan's been around so long and because she is now getting the push and she's delivering in these slots where she is, sort of entrusted with, whether it's a debuting rookie or whether it's in a white belt match in the semi-main event, your biggest show of the year, I think she has knocked it out of the park. And I think that she is viewed as someone in that upper echelon. We were talking earlier about people challenging for belts. Hanan is another one now who I feel like is almost someone that is going to be hanging around that white belt scene for a very long time, and rightly so. Let's move on then to Team Classroom and Devil Princess. And this loss, it gave Hina a little bit of revenge over Rena. Obviously, Rena beat her for the Future of Stardom Championship. This eliminated Devil Princess from the tournament just after they had that really shock win over Hate Supreme, had made it known that they were going to be challenging for the Goddess of Stardom belts. It turns out reality comes around very quickly, and they were eliminated by the team that have only won one match all tournament. However, that being said, I thought this was a really entertaining match.
This was great. And the fact that it went a little over 11 minutes, they got them time to tell their story. And you're absolutely right. Like, what a momentum swing for Devil Princess. You just beat the tag champs in your own faction by breaking the rules and submitting, your big heel we'll get into it, that gets suspended yet again.
God, that tackler
reminded me of my high school days. But anywho, but no, this was I never had detention. I just got into suspended a few times for fighting. But anywho,
as long as you won, that's the main thing.
My dad always said, "You don't throw the first punch, just make sure you throw the last." Think about it.
Yeah,
never got in trouble with the old man. Anywho, another story for another day. But yeah, these teams work really well together, and I like how Hina and Lady C, great there again, very much like Moonlight Fantasy, a team we know wasn't going to have a lot of wins, but are having a lot of great matches. They gelled really well this tournament, something I think the two of them needed, because when in the middle of the summer when Queen's Quest was forced to dissolve on that match from the conversion, you're kind of wondering. It's like, well, Azumi's going to go off and do this, and this person's going to be okay. What are they doing with Sayaka Kamatani? But you're wondering what's going to happen with Lady C and Hina, and they kept them together. They just went over to God's Eye. I was like, okay, what's going to happen with the two of them? And they make a great tag team. And as far as match quality goes, they had some great matches. This was my favorite. They worked really well together. Obviously, Hina and Rina, they're terrific together because, of course, they're sisters. Azusa Naba, she's terrific, and Lady C is one that we've really been singing her praises, especially since the summer. Just since they had a little mini tournament to qualify for the 5-star Grand Prix, and I would love to see Lady C either make a run in the Cinderella tournament or actually be in the 5-star Grand Prix in 2025 because she's vastly improved and she works. She's one of the bigger wrestlers, taller, stronger wrestlers in this company, and she works to it. And you see that we're starting to really exploit that. We see it with the giant swing. We see that not only does she do the abdomen stretch, she does a double ab stretch on most of her opponents, which is really cool. Now she's adopted this abdominal stretch into almost a side slam for a false finish, which I really, really like. And then Hina and Lady C in the last few matches, they've been doing the Dudleys 3D, which I think is great because it works so well because Lady C is so big. So when on the way down, it's more of a bigger bump, and then Hina just catches him with the cutter at the end. It's more visual pleasing. And the fact that Hina got a win here, not with the ghetto clutch, but with that modified jackhammer on Azusa. And again, Azusa and Rina, Devil Princess, they're the New Blood tag champs. I would love to see this run back 15, 16 minutes on a New Blood show. And we have one coming up, right before Dream Queendom, because we don't have enough great Stardom stuff to watch this month, Rob. We're throwing them more and more stuff on. But great match. Again, this is my favorite match from Hina and Lady C in this tournament. I had it at 4 stars.
Yeah, it's mine as well. I think, unless I'm very much mistaken, it's a week on Tuesday is the next New Blood show. I believe it's the 17th of December. So that's something that we will be getting a card announced for soon. Maybe a Mio Amasaki Future of Stardom title defense. I think my one sort of bugbear with Team Classroom, and it's not with the team, it's just that I think that this could have been something of a breakout. And we sort of said it in our preview, I believe, that we wanted this to be a breakout of some description for Lady C. We wanted Lady C to get a little bit of the spotlight because almost as a not a reward, because I know you don't like that word, but I feel like she's earned it. She wasn't in the 5-star Grand Prix, but was putting in the hard yards on all those undercard tags where she was teaming with Hina against Natsuko Tora and Rina. And I think she could have had, really could have had that spotlight during this. I'm not saying necessarily going to the tournament quarterfinals, certainly not, but certainly key victories over the likes of Sakura Demon, Reckless Fantasy, even maybe a shock win over the likes of, I don't know, a Star Fox or something. I think that would have been fair. I think it would have been a completely different story if Ami Sourei was in the tournament, because I think they would have had the Ride with Tokyo Towers put together, and I think they might well have had a run at the top of the block. So again, it's unfortunate that she hasn't had the run, but when she has been given the tap on the shoulder, she has managed to deliver. So that's always a good thing. Speaking of people who have been on a run, Sakura Demon rapidly becoming people's favorite tag team in this entire tournament, which is great. And Starlight Kid and Yuna Mizumori were fantastic here. Absolutely great pairing, and that closing stretch and that visual of Starlight Kid powering Yuna Mizumori in the air with her leg trapped in that stretch muffler. Beautifully done. Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid may not have teamed very often as a tag team before this tournament. Turns out you don't need much when you're just that bloody talented. This match was great. Thoroughly enjoyed this one.
Yeah, this was good. And Starlight Kid and Eunice start off, and they do more of the high speed stuff. Again, Starlight Kid is kind of unofficially graduated from that division, but she's still, again, very much like we see even present day EO and present day Mayu, still uses that high speed offense to set up more of the main event style offense. So it's like, and it's something different that separates her. And that's what Starlight Kid does here. And again, Eunice, somebody that we wouldn't be shocked if she's challenging or maybe wins that high-speed championship somewhere in 2025, because she had that great match with May Sarah. She's so explosive. She's so endearing with the crowd. A great way to start this match. And then Starlight Kid's like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to start pulling apart Yuna's knee. And again, we know what she's building to eventually what she builds into the end for the submission on the leg crusher, the Black Tiger leg crusher submission. We mentioned last week that, hey, how come we never got any Suzu Suzuki versus Soriano? And I know Aya Sakura is no Soriano, but Aya Sakura and Suzu Suzuki, give me that in Cork Hall for 12 minutes, because it was like, yeah, these two hit really hard and they had really good chemistry. And Suzu gives it as good as she takes it. The forearms, and then the fact that she's able to feed for Aya's kicks, and the way Aya is able to transition the armbar into the triangle choke, I think it's just something. It's something so wonderful. She's so good. Her and Sayaka Kurura, you would be forgiven if they would get lost in the shuffle of everything going on with Cosmic Angels, with Tam, Natsupoi, Soriano, now Yuna Mizumori. We can be plugging her in the main events, but these two are shining right through. They really, really are. Aya is a low-key MVP of this tournament.
Yeah,
and against Sakura, we know Sakura is going to be somebody that we're going to have our eye out for in that main event coming up in Sumo Hall, but another story for another day. But yeah, this was great, a great tag action back and forth. Again, Aya and Yuna Mizumori, really the breakout stars in this tournament for me, because again, we knew FWC was going to be good. We knew that Peach Rock was going to be good. We knew that Suzu and Starlight Kid, as you mentioned, they really haven't teamed much before. We're like, yeah, it didn't take long for them to gel and for them to be absolutely crushing it in this tournament. But Aya and Yuna, especially when they do that double leg kick lariat sandwich and they do it twice, the way they're able to chain their tag moves together, the way they're able to set up their big moves to set up for, like when Yuna would hit a clothesline to help Aya set up for maybe that diving knee bomb or something like that. They do a great job setting up moves for each other. Great match, 11 minutes, right around 11 minutes, perfect time to tell their story. Another 4-star match from you, my friend. This was just another terrific outing between 4 great wrestlers and 2 terrific teams in this fantastic 2024 Goddess of Stardom Tag Tournament.
Yep, 3 3/4 from me. I've just spent time talking about how I wanted this tournament to be a bit of a breakout for Lady C. I would argue, however, that it's been a breakout Sayaka Kurura benefiting hugely from the spotlight that's on her, preemptively ahead of that Dream Queendom main event. And Aya Sakura, who just seems to be going from strength to strength to strength in terms of her confidence, in terms of her aura. And I know it sounds stupid, but the new gear as well. I do think that the new lick of paint in terms to the gear has given that new sort of vibe to her. She has been very, very consistent and has been a bit of a shock in terms of how well she has got over, how well she is putting together these matches, the chemistry that she's having with the likes of a Suzu Suzuki. I think she's been tremendous. This team, Sakura Demon, have been one of my highlights of this entire tournament. Obviously, when we do our finals review next week, we'll be doing MVPs and things like that, and dark horses and blah, 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 blah. And I feel like Sakura Demon are certainly going to be in the conversation for team of the tournament, even though they were never really in with a shout of making it out of a very, very heavily stacked Blue Goddess block. I think they've been one of the highlights every single time they've wrestled, on cards where we've had FWC, Sayori Poi, Cup High Mate, even Anacon, who have been great. They have always been the standout. And I think that's huge, huge credit to the work that Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori have done, because we can't overlook the work that Yuna has done in the last 12, 13, 14 months. It's, and I'm not just necessarily talking about leaning up. I'm talking about her work in ring as well, shedding that overtly comedic character and becoming a powerhouse that is still a over babyface, that still has the comic elements and things like that, but it's no longer the central part of her character. And I think she's benefited massively from that.
Yeah, real quick, Rob, just the one thing that Stardom now knows that they have going to 2025, we know that Cork and Hall, they like to put the tag title matches on there, the Goddess matches.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a whole host of them this year. Regardless of who comes out of Queendom as the tag champs, I think it's going to be Wingori, because I'm still sticking to my guns. You know that you can go to Cork and Hall in January, February, March, April, and we're like, let's do Wingori defending against Yuna and Aya. They had that great match in Cork and Hall in this tournament. Why not rewind it there? Regardless, whether it's Tekla Momo, whether it's FWC, whether it's Hanan Lady C, whether it's Gulkin Death and Fukigen Death, it's whether whoever you need it to be, you know that you can put Iron Unit in that main event in Korakuen Hall, and it's going to deliver. It's going to sell tickets. Again, they put Unit in the high-speed championship match in Korakuen Hall, and they do 1,300 people. So it's like she's a draw, and they know that they can put Yuna and Aya in a championship match in Korakuen Hall, and it's going to absolutely steal the show. So yeah, again, it's a good problem for Stardom to have. It's like, well, here's another group that we can now throw in the main events, because why the heck not? And it's something that I didn't think that they knew that they had going into this tournament, but you could damn well bet that they know that they have it now with Yuna and Aya. It's crazy. It's wild.
Absolutely. It seems at the moment that they're, and I'm really hoping this bubble never bursts. I really am. It just seems that whoever you plug into a prominent position in Stardom at the moment is hitting it out of the park, and that's up and down the card. Whether that is a Tam or a Natsupoi or a Mayu or an Aya Sakura or a Sayaka Kurura or even Motoi Hamabe, who is doing fantastic work on these undercards.
Unbelievable.
Has been wrestling, seven matches, 8 matches, has her first win now, by the way. It was in a tag team, but has her first win. Everyone they seem to be giving the nod to blows it away every single time. And it is such a delight as a fan to watch this. It really is. Inaba Nagami versus Peach Rock. This match, despite Mayu's best efforts to tell Daichi that it was Momo Kohgo that had got the pinfall, absolutely adamant that Peach Rock had won, which was hilarious. Unfortunately, Momo did eat the pin, and that did mean that Peach Rock were eliminated from the tournament. It was a long shot for them to win from here anyway. They had to beat Peach Rock, and then they would have to beat T-Palm later on down the line and hope for a whole host of results to go their way. The result here means that they're eliminated. Devastating for Momo Kohgo. Hilarious that Mayu thought she'd won. A good match. And again, just that little taste that I feel we had stolen from us in the 5-star Grand Prix between Tomoka Inaba and Mayu Iwatani, Matt.
Yeah, I really thought Mayu and Momo Kohgo, because they were like the team that was really built up going into this. They were like the first official announced team, with Momo Kohgo cutting all those promos like, please, Mayu, I'm getting better. Please, let's reform Peach Rock. So I thought that they had great matches. Don't get me wrong, they had terrific matches. And we're going to talk about the next show. We're going to talk about the Momo Kohgo chance after the match that left her to tears.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, God, what a great heartwarming moment for Momo.
It was. Like, she deserved it. She earned those chants.
She earned it 100%. So I thought they, at least going into like the final night, would have still been in contention. But the fact that they ate so many L's, it was like, oh, regardless, again, great match. And again, Mayu is doing a great, she's the main eventer. She's the best wrestler, not only in this company, maybe with the exception of Will Ospreay, the best wrestler in the entire planet. Another story for another day, but she's doing a great job getting these young talent. We saw it with the Zeus Inaba on the show we reviewed last week, giving a lot of offense to the young talent. Tomoka Inaba and Rani Yagami, they beat up Mayu pretty good. And again, when you're the best wrestler and the best seller in this company, what does that do for Tomoka and Rana? You just mentioned, partner, this roster is so stacked. You can plug anybody in any scenario and they're going to hit a home run. It's because the main eventer, the person working above, is unselfish enough to work to that person's strength to make them look better and ultimately get the match over. It really seems like these Stardom girls, when the bell rings, they're very unselfish because they're all about business. And you have to give credit to this roster up and down for being able to do that, because sometimes you don't see that. Sometimes you see wrestlers that are like, all right, I'm just going to go gobble this up because I don't care about the booker. I don't care about the promotion. I just want to get my stuff and make sure I look dominant and get over. And that's that. You don't see that in Stardom. And you're not seeing it with Mayu, especially again in this match with, again, Rana and Tomoka Inaba. Their combined age is like, what, 40, 41? And Mayu is giving these two so much. And then it's Momo Kohgo that's got to come in and make the save. And just the teamwork that Momo and Mayu do, especially they do that spot where Mayu's in the turnbuckle and Momo Kohgo gets whipped into her, and then Mayu bandanas Momo Kohgo over the top rope, and then Mayu hits the super kick. And by the time the person's done selling the super kick, when they turn around, Momo Kohgo does that one leap from the apron to the second rope to that 180 body press. Like they've done in every match. It's flawless. They know when to put it in, when for it to make sense, and it's a move that highlights Momo Kohgo, because Mayu doesn't need much highlighting. It's Mayu Iwatani, but that's a move that highlights Momo Kohgo and gets her a near fall. I really like the way they do that, and then you just see Momo Kohgo coming in. You know, she hits the 619, the 619 DDT. Eventually, it's the teamwork, the Eliminator style offense, which I love. Eliminator is one of my favorite tag teams from the 90s that doesn't get enough love. The Eliminator style offense from Tomoka and Rana, but ultimately, then we get some great back and forth stuff with Momo and Tomoka, but ultimately it's the end of a drop that puts away for the 3 count, another 4-star match for me, my friend. This was absolutely terrific. My one little thing is I wish we would got more Tomoka and Mayu. Very much like the 5-star Grand Prix. Maybe we owned that match in like 3 minutes where it's like, oh, maybe we'll get a little more. We didn't get it as much as I would like. Still a great match. Again, 4 stars. And again, Peach Rock team, they do a great job highlighting and getting over Momo Kohgo. It might be one of the many reasons why she got that standing ovation and that chant on the next night.
I imagine once Tomoka Inaba signs with Stardom, we'll get it a lot. Come on, Stardom. Come on, Stardom.
And Azusa.
Absolutely, and Azusa, definitely. Semi-main then, Tokumoka Pure and Alamode versus BMI 2000. The victory keeps Tokumoka Pure and Alamode in the tournament, which I think when we saw the partnerships, we didn't think was going to be a thing. But second consecutive pinfall victory for Sayaka Kurura. And I thought it was really interesting that following this match, she was given the microphone and she made a big point that she would never lose to hate. They were a team full of bad things, I believe the exact phrasing was. So really, yeah, exactly.
List.
Exactly. Only the naughtiest of elves are members of hate. But yeah, they really are sowing those seeds in terms of that main event and what Sayaka Kurura is going to do. We talked a little bit last week about the love bombing of Tam Nakano and how, the more you grip, the more it slips away. And you do feel like there's an element of that in these two. Tam is very, very full on. And Sayaka Kurura, there have been several points, even in the shows that we're looking at, where she's sort of been like, whoa, okay, just take it easy, Tam. Okay, just, can you just come on, just. So it's interesting that they've actually given her that mic time to say those things. Big victory over BMI 2000 gives them the tiebreaker as well over BMI 2000, which could have been pivotal in the shows going forward. Spoiler, it wasn't, but it could have been. Overall, a really, really, really good match. And again, Sayaka Kurura's spear might be one of my favorite things to watch in Stardom because she absolutely flattened Ruaka with it. Really, really good.
Rob, so you're saying like Tam smothering these past few years is what may drive some people away?
100%.
Yeah, that's what happened with me and her. Anywho, buddy, so
yes, that was what happened.
Yeah. Anywho, I don't have, and I'm not even joking. I don't have the point totals written down for these two teams going into this match. What do you have them there in front of you, buddy?
I do indeed. They were both. So Tokumoka Pure and Alamode were on 4 points heading into this. BMI 2000 were on 6.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, for some reason I just didn't have it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This was a really good match, and again, we're seeing Tam and Sayaka really gelling well as a team. Very much like you would see like the Mayu Stars led team or the Tam led team when she's doing with Natsupoi or Soriano, where they get that quick double team early on in the match. That's what in wrestling we call the shine. You want to shine up the baby faces to get the big pop. And the one thing that they do is Tam picks up Sayaka Kurura, and then it looks like she can do a suplex, but then she makes sure that she double stomps her opponent on the way down. So I like it. It's a really cool looking move. I've never seen anybody do it. They'll hit a quick double team. The opponent be laying down in the middle of the ring. Tam will pick up Sayaka like she's going to suplex her, but instead she drops her feet first and she does the double stomp on her opponent. That's a really cool way to start the match. Eventually, you know what's going to happen. A little bending of the rules between Ruaka and Tora, just a little bit, and we start getting some heat on Sayaka Kurura. Tam comes in for the save. They build up the spear, which you mentioned. Not only does it look good, the way that they've been building it up and the way that Tam sets Sayaka up, very much like Mayu and Momo Kohgo, makes it look better. And considering the fact that she's wrestling more than main event wrestlers, obviously Tora is a former World of Stardom champion and an absolute badass. So it's just like you're building it up that way and you're getting her over and the move over. I thought it was really good stuff. And then you have this great almost little mini match with Sayaka and Ruaka, which I thought it would have went like Tam and Tora because they're the two, they have that history. Tam did defeat Tora for the World of Stardom Championship just this past summer. But they go with Sayaka and Ruaka, and to pleasantly surprise, great chemistry between these two. Wouldn't mind seeing this run back again. Really great stuff. It looks like Ruaka is going to get a cheap win because, again, we're bending the rules a little bit. Tam comes in, super kicks for all, sets up the slice bread number 2 into the jackknife pin for the win. Big pop. Great way to build this match. I know I sound like a broken record. 4 stars. Another solid 4 stars. Again, all these matches are terrific. They make sense. Great psychology as we're building towards who we're going to be the 6 teams going into the playoffs. Yeah, great stuff. And again, we're furthering along the Tam and Sayaka story going up against the members of Hate. Really good stuff here. Really good stuff.
We move on then to the main event. Micah and HANAKO and Sayaka Kamatani and Konami. Obviously, winning this, Cup High Mate have secured their place in the final. They can still qualify as top of the block should Sai Queen beat FWC and Cup High Mate defeat Tokameki Pure in a la mode. But at the moment, they are in second due to FWC possessing the tiebreaker. A really good match with Sai Queen here. Lots of different facets. We got a standoff between Sayaka Kamatani and Micah. We know about the history there following Sayaka Kamatani's turn. I thought they did some really good work there. But for me, I thought HANAKO was brilliant in this match. And just as she was in the show on the 1st of December as well, I thought she was tremendous in that match. I feel like, as I mentioned before, the injury to Xena is horrible and Xena is tremendous, and I can't wait for her to come back. But HANAKO has snatched that opportunity to be in the main event scene alongside Micah with both hands, and I feel like has done some really good things. And to get the pinfall victory here, when you do have Micah and Sayaka Kamatani in the match, I think was a really, really, really good point. I thought HANAKO and Konami had some really good exchanges.
Yeah, and consider if I didn't know this was the main event until about 10 minutes ago, makes me, and it could add to what I'm going to say, makes me look at HANAKO in even a bigger light because look who's in this match. Micah, main eventer, former red belt champion, winning in the 5-star. Saya, in my opinion, the greatest Wonder Stardom champion of all time. She's going to do whatever she wants when it's her time to pull the trigger as red belt champion. And Konami, we mentioned it before, she's somebody that I would like to see plugged back into the white belt scene in 2025 because she was great on all these shows, especially that 0-2 line match, which we'll get into in a little bit later. And the fact that when they're putting this match together, they build, and again, it's the main event, which I didn't know about until 10 minutes ago. They put the heat on Micah. So your hot tag is going to HANAKO in the main event. Somebody that's only been wrestling a little over a year, and the person they're putting the heat on, and in my opinion, is the 3rd best wrestler in 2024 behind Ospreay and Mayu and Mike, because I think Micah's year is just something that I think that needs to be talked about more often, just how great she's been this year. She's fantastic. And she did rank higher than Liv Morgan on the PWI 250. But okay, another story for another day. But we don't see Mike on the back foot that much selling. Like, I mean, she can sell. She's really good, like in the singles matches, but it's because she's one of the bigger, stronger, more badasses. You don't get the opportunity to see her, and her selling's great. And it made sense because what do? They go after her knee. Saya breaks down the knee. Konami, she's the submission sniper, right? All of her work toward that knee makes sense. Like she knows how to pick apart that knee. Look at that match, the finals of the 2019 5-star with Hanan. That match is built around Konami working Honda's knee, and it's great storytelling. Hot tag goes to HANAKO, and it's just boom, 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 bump, bump, bump. They make HANAKO look like a star. And HANAKO's right. I mean, already only wrestling a year. Main events, making sense, being the MVP of this great show in a match that has your former red belt champion, your former white belt champion, and Konami, who's a proven main eventer when it's time to go, and a great tag wrestler, no matter who she's tagging with. And her and Kamatani here, another pleasant surprise because they've never really tagged before. Great singles wrestlers, and they're hitting it out of the park as far as tag wrestling goes. Really great stuff. Eventually, we get back to Sayaka Kamatani and Micah. Because no offense to anybody, that's where the money is, and they don't miss. They don't miss. Great stuff back and forth there. Eventually, the two of them kind of take each other out, and we get this mini match with Konami and HANAKO. And I didn't know how it was going to go because Konami goes to the triangle answer, building towards the end. HANAKO's able to get out. She hits the JP coaster. Eventually, they go back. Eventually, Konami comes back with blitzing strikes. Very Tokyo Cyber Squad style strikes from Konami, where it's like you're getting almost want to get behind her because of how much she's fighting back from this big giant that's HANAKO. Eventually, she gets the triangle answer, and I thought that was going to be the finish. HANAKO rolls through, is able to outsmart Konami, and is able to get the pinfall. My favorite match from the show. 4.25 stars. And again, in this match that's got all these great wrestlers, Hanako is the MVP of the main event. And kudos to the wrestlers that put this match together, because they clearly wanted to shine her up. Again, not only getting the hot tag, not only looking dominant, but eating a lot of the big offense from Konami, only to roll her up and get the win in the main event. Again, a star is born. Star is born, and we're going to just see how badass she is in that match coming up on the 3rd of January, buddy, because this is, I mean, just another vehicle for them. You know, it's just another great match, and they're allowed to drink the beers, very much like the team that won the main event on the last week's show. They enjoy the beers. The other team did not, sir. But that was probably really good for Sapporo Beer Company, because FWC not the best spokesman, maybe the best wrestlers, not the best spokesman. But Mike and Hanako, again, 4.25 stars. My favorite match from the show. And those two are absolutely crushing it as a team, just adding on to the great year that Mike is having.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. Exact same reason. I thought the Mad Tiger Girl match with Sakura Demon was great, and I thought that the semi-main as well was really good. Tokamaki at Pure in Ala mode and BMI 2000. BMI 2000, by the way, are having a really underrated tournament, having some really good matches that we're just not talking about. Yes, that is true. Moving on then to the second show that we're going to be talking about, and this was Rina, Hina, and Hanan's homecoming show in the Ishibashi Sports Center in Toshigi. Goddess of Stardom Tag League Night 14 from Saturday the 30th of November. This was live on Stardom World. Just as a little bit of an attendance note, 508 people announced for the Ishibashi Sports Center, which was reported to be a sellout for the venue. It's the first time that Stardom have run that venue, ordinarily running the Utsunomiya Light Cube when going to Toshigi. In terms of the standings for this show, FWC can win Red Block outright with victory over Psy Queen, going straight through to the semi-finals. Their tally of 14 points, if they are to win, would be a Goddess of Stardom record, beating out the 11 points the 12 points, sorry, that 7-Up got in 2022. Sayori Poi could also win the blue block with victory over Reckless Fantasy, meaning that they will get a bye through as well. Eliminated from the tournament, Teen Classroom, Sakura Demon, Reckless Fantasy, and Devil Princess from Blue Goddess, and then the red block, Inaba and Yagami and Peach Rock were eliminated as well. Let's look at the results then. Opening up with Blue Goddess match, Sayori Poi, Natsupoi, and Sayori Ano moved to 12 points, defeating Reckless Fantasy, Wak Tsukiyama, and Rian, with Sayori Ano submitting Rian in 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Three-way match, Natsuka Tora defeated Motoi Hamabe and Aya Sakura, Tora pinning Hamabe with the frog splash in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. In a tag team match, Suzu Suzuki and Yuna Mezumori defeated the God's Eye team of Lady C and Ronnie Yagami. Suzu pinning Lady C with the Grand Maestro, the Tequila, in 7 minutes and 51 seconds. In Red Goddess action, FWC did defeat Psy Queen, moving to 14 points. Psy Queen staying on 6. Koguma pinning Sayaka Kamatani with the Kuma roll in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Blue Goddess action, O2 Line kept their very slim chances alive. They moved to 6 points, defeating Anacon, who also remain on 6 points. Azumi pinning Saki Kashima in 9 minutes and 42 seconds with the Azumi Sushi. Red Goddess action, Peach Rock sign off with a victory. Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kohgo moved to 6 points, defeating Tokamaki Pure in Ala mode, Tam Nakano, Sayaka Kurura. Momo Kohgo getting the victory over Sayaka Kurura with the Momon Pa in 10 minutes and 29 seconds. Semi-main event, Blue Goddess action, Star Fox, Meisera and Kohaku, who have been a bit of a surprise package in this tournament, moving to 9 points, defeating the reigning Goddess of Stardom champions, Hate Supreme, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla. Meisera pinning Momo Watanabe with the Shooting Star. Both teams on 9 points, both still in the tournament, 12 minutes and 14 seconds. And then in your main event, a 6-woman tag match, the Hanan, Rina, and Hina homecoming match. They defeated Starlight Kid, Saya Ida, and Ruaka. Hanan pinning Ruaka with the backdrop hold in 20 minutes and 6 seconds. Matt, the show was opened by Hanan and Hina, who were joined by the Shimotsuki Mayor Tetsuya Sakamura. The three welcomed the crowd to the show, and Sakamura thanks Stardom for making the show happen. We move on to that opening tag match. This was free on YouTube, as was the three-way that followed it. Sayori Poi defeating Reckless Fantasy in perhaps one of the locks of the night. I imagine there wasn't many people who thought that Sayori Poi were going to trip up here, but they progress through at the top of Blue Goddess block, becoming the first team to progress. And it did seem, Matt, almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost too easy. And we talked about this with Sayori Poi in the early vestiges of the tournament, where they almost took things too easy on some people. We saw it against the likes of Aya Sakura, and we saw it bite them when they lost to Devil Princess. Here, they were very, very condescending towards Rian, but stopped short of it biting them. And it was ultimately quite a dominant win.
Yeah, we made mention like a little bit ago about Hanan and Mayu basically able to make the younger wrestlers at the bottom of the card shine. And you're absolutely right. This was 80% Sayori Poi in this match. Really, they took their open. Even like the match was like really getting going, and then all of a sudden you see the Soriano puts Rihanna in that cross arm camel clutch and then tapped, and then there was a tap. I'm like, oh, there's no comeback. And it's just like, yeah, you kind of don't need that because Sayori Poi, they're dominant. And as far as match quality, again, we still have these two shows coming up this weekend, but in my opinion, as far as match quality goes, they're the best team in this tournament. They're my MVPs thus far. Again, we still have some more matches to go. But yeah, it's really seemed like it's building, and then it's just like, no, now we have our opening, as you just mentioned. We have our opening. Let's just close the door. Let's close the door and get out of here with the win. And that's what happened. But I just want to mention Natsupoi, very much like how Mayu and Hana we talked about earlier, makes Rian look really good in the opening scenes.
Yeah.
Like the fact that she goes arm drag for arm drag with her and is able to keep up with her. Again, Natsupoi, loves that high speed style wrestling. Rihanna's one that keeps up with her. Natsupoi makes sure. She makes sure she's there every step of the way. She makes sure she's there for every arm drag, the bump and feed where she needs to be to make Rihanna look good. Waka has some really good segments here. Waka comes in a little bit, but then ultimately, like once Sayori Poi starts hitting the double teams, it's all down here from Moonlight Fantasy. Then it's just like after it's one thing after another, and then you see Moonlight Fantasy get a little bit of a comeback, but ultimately Soriano is like, all right, time to take this baby home. That's exactly what they do because we see Natsupoi and Soriano, they win a lot of different ways. The Ferial Gift, the Ferial Ring, the Tom's Tundra, but we don't really. Ooh, baby, look out, Merry Christmas. We don't see Soriano winning many matches with that the cross arm camel clutch. So it's something really, really cool. That I was like, oh, if you're gonna do it here. It's something really different. That's why I was like kind of shocked at the tap out there. I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. 3 3/4 stars for me, a really good outing, but really this is just the vehicle for Soriano and Natsupoi to say, like, we won the block, we got the bye, we're taking home because they could really. The one thing that Stardom doesn't miss a lot, especially the booking lately, they don't miss a lot. The one thing that I think they missed a little bit with Sayori Poi going into this tournament and being in this tournament is they never made mention that they never lost the belts last year. That's something that they could have said at the press conference. They could have said going in this tournament after some wins. And Stardom World's done a great job getting the backstage comments up with the English subtitles. And they really should be bringing home, like, we're winning this tournament. We're taking the belts back that we never lost. Nobody has ever beat us for those belts because Natsupoi got injured last year. And I really think they could have really drove that home to put a little bit of sympathy on this team that is absolutely crushing it. Again, 3 3/4 stars for me. And just a great outing from Sayori Poi. Just unbelievable stuff. Just the tag division's white hot and they're leading it. They really, really are.
Yeah, and just to sort of put a bow on that, I think Rian did a great job being a babyface in peril, and the crowd really, really got behind it because this crowd was quite up and down with their reactions. There was some things that I thought they would react to that they didn't quite react to in the right way. There was some things that they were really, really hot with. Momo Kohgo's victory, for example. Big Momo Kohgo fans in Toshigi. But yeah, I thought that Rian got the crowd on side really, really well. Moving on then to Fukuoka Double Crazy versus Sai Queen. And it looks, Matt Turner, like Koguma might be going for that Regina de Wave title anyway. She did get a victory over the reigning champion. I mean, Sayaka Matani does not eat many pinfalls and less clean pinfalls. And Koguma made a point of getting that belt. Now, obviously, we know that she lost to Kohaku in the semifinals of the Next Wave tournament. However, she does have pinfall victory over the champion. Is that something that we are going to revisit down the line, Matt?
Not only that, but Koguma going back to her 2021 roots of stealing her opponent's stuff. You remember that was a thing in
Yes, I do.
2021?
Yes, it was.
And the kleptomaniac bear. So I think she walked out with the belt as if I don't know if she was like, I want to steal this, or maybe she thought she was the champion. And then Hazuki was just like, sure, yeah, I support you, buddy. We're best friends. Yeah. Absolutely. You are the champion. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just glad they didn't celebrate with Sapporo beer. Anywho, my one little nitpick of this match, and you know where I'm going. You got the best tag team in all of wrestling, Hazuki and Koguma. Konami and Kamitani, instant chemistry. Hazuki and Kamitani, the greatest wonder match of all time, in my opinion. And a lot of people backed me up on that last year. This match got less than 10 minutes. It was great. Again, I had it at 4 stars. Terrific match. I just wish it would have went 2 or 3 minutes longer. They did get you with the surprise finish because, again, as it's building, it just goes to show you that Kuma roll can get you at any time. Again, I just wanted maybe just a little bit more of stuff with Kamitani and Hazuki, but the Koguma and Sai Kamitani stuff, which we really never seen much of, because we never really got that big Aphrodite versus FWC match. We got it, but never in a big championship scenario. And I was like, oh yeah, they got some really good chemistry. Again, the Phoenix versus the Bear, right? It writes itself. It writes itself. Obviously, Konami and Hazuki, they have history there, some really good back and forth stuff there. Ultimately, though, it just comes down to Koguma getting the surprise pinfall win over Sai Kamitani, and thus plants the seeds that she might be after Kohago. She might be next in line for that Wave Championship. And again, if it is Kohago, I don't know who she's wrestling in the finals. Obviously, she's terrific. I would love to see her and Kamitani again. Maybe that's a match for the 3rd coming up. For New Year's Dream. So I would love to see the winner of that wrestle Kamitani. I would love to see a 10, 12, 13-minute match with Sai and Koguma. And if it is for the Wave Championship, I'm all for it because they never really had a big singles match. And it's right here. And it makes sense. She got the pinfall. She stole the belt. But ultimately, they stole 2 points, thus knocking Sai Queen out and giving FWC the #1 seed in this tournament. But regardless, even if they weren't the #1 seed, Rob, they're #1 in our hearts.
Absolutely. O2 Line and Anacon. I will never not love the partnership of Azumi and Shiori, and I think it's very apt that you next week will be looking at your matches with Matt being Azumi and Shiori, because once again they prove just what underrated chemistry they have. And we had a spate of singles matches between the pair in consecutive 5-star Grand Prix, and then an SWA title match as well at Korakuen. And they have undeniable chemistry together. Obviously, Saki Kashima is one of the most beloved wrestlers on the entire roster, and I don't think that's an exaggeration.
Entire planet.
Yeah. And there was one point where she was stopping Miyu Amasaki getting in the ring by grinding a water bottle into her head. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Innovative offense. And in the words of Tony Schiavone with Jesse Ventura from SummerSlam '88, that if it happens on the outside, it's legal. So that was
absolutely
it was legal.
I was a big fan of how I think it was Suzu Suzuki was just sitting and watching it happen, just like, okay, yeah, sure. Miyu Amasaki having to sell it, bless her. But yeah, this was a lot of fun from Azumi and Saki Kashima's opening where they stole each other's pinfall moves. Obviously, we've seen the match where in the 5-star Grand Prix, Saki pinned Azumi in 44 seconds on her birthday when Azumi was debuting brand new gear and the 5-star finals, eliminating it from the 5-star Grand Prix as well. It was a multifaceted loss, that was. But we got little teases of that. And then again, the main thing for me here is Azumi and Shiori, because I thought that partnership, it never fails to impress me.
Yeah, again, and I was kind of getting ready to say they kind of have different styles, but not really. I mean, Azumi's obviously the high-speed style, but she's great with the submissions, which we know Sherry's the best at, and Azumi's striking. has come a long way. I mean, she really started building up her striking. We really started noticing in that New Japan Strong Championship match she had last year with Julia, where she's going like kick for kick and shot for shot with Julia. And I think she even busted Julia's mouth open. I'm like, okay, now we have a different level of Azumi where she can bring the strikes. And we saw it here. But obviously we had the comedy beforehand with you mentioned before with the Saki Kashima and Azumi stealing each other's finishers. And then Azumi and Shuri start going at it, and then they start chasing each other around the building, which is Shuri actually is really good with comedy as well. When obviously when it's time for the big matches, she's locked in, one of the best wrestlers in the world, Shuri, which again we saw when we did our alternate commentary with Mayu. But it was like I thought that was really funny, and then they get in the ring and then they have the serious stuff, which I thought was great. Again, Miyu Amasaki, she was terrific here. I liked how O2 lined, even though Shuri and Saki Kashima, they've been teaming up off and on quite a bit. O2 line's the more established tag team. Shuri is the big main event wrestler in this match. Again, former winner of the 5-star in 2021. She had a year-long run with the World of Stardom Championship back in 2022. So it's like, how do we take down Shuri? Easy. We're just going to double team her. And you get that great O2 line double teamwork where they're using their speed to basically get the better of Shuri. Ultimately, we get down to Saki Kashima and Azumi. We don't know which way it's going to go because every time Azumi thinks she's got Saki finished, just the Kishi Kasai that does it in. But ultimately, though, it is some great double teamwork from O2 line that does lead into the double Azumi Sushi for O2 line to stay alive in the block. Because I did have them winning the block. So obviously, we'll get to my wrong prediction there in a little bit. 3 3/4 stars for me. Yeah, really good stuff. It was great teamwork, a little bit of Azumi and Shuri. Again, I would like a little more. Great comedy. Again, with Saki Kashima using a water bottle to grind it to the back of the head of Miyu Amasaki. And then you just get the quick back and forth falls with Saki Kashima and Azumi. Yeah, fun stuff. Less than 10 minutes. Good job. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Yeah, really good match, thoroughly enjoyable. Peach Rock then finally managing to pick up another victory, ending their tournament on a high. And what I really liked about this, aside from the overwhelming crowd support that clearly got to Momo Kohgo, which I thought was really sweet, and Mayu's support of that was really sweet as well, really highlighting her to the crowd. I think it was telling that Momo Kohgo, of all the moves, she gets the win with the move she's inherited from Mayu, the Momon Pa. And I think that was telling because ultimately this was a chance. This entire tournament was a chance for Momo Kohgo to prove herself to Mayu Iwatani. Has she done that? I mean, results-wise, no. 6 points, eliminated from the tournament before the 2 final nights. One of only 2 teams eliminated from Red Block before the final night. And I'd argue that perhaps Momo is a little bit disappointed in herself. In fact, it was very obvious that she was disappointed in herself. She feels like she's let Mayu down. So to get the victory here, in what was a very good match, don't get me wrong, but this was very much about Momo Kohgo and Sayaka Kurura more than it was Tam and Mayu, even though those flashes were great. And I think it was an emphasis for Momo to get that victory that she's been seeking with a move she's inherited from Mayu. I thought that was a really nice way to end this tournament for them.
Yeah, again, you look at this match and it's like you kind of have main eventer Mayu, main event Tam, and you have your underneath Sakura and your underneath Momo Kohgo. Obviously, Momo Kohgo is more tenured and has a little something more to prove. So you kind of have that story. I like how this match, again, 2 babyface teams, 2 over factions, 2, again, your leaders, 2 main eventers, Mayu, and there's only been 3 wrestlers that have held the red belt more than once. And other than EO, the 2 of them are in this match, Mayu and Tam. So you have that story there. I like how it's like it starts off double team, double team, double team, double. It's like they're kind of going back and forth with the double teams where it's like Mayu's leading this double team and Tam's like, no, I'm going to lead my double team. So you kind of have a 50-50 match there. And then what the I and Tam do is they do this dive that they've done the last few shows where their opponents on the outside. Tam does the dive off the post and Aya does the running dive off the apron, which is really, really cool because you're getting that visual and the 2 of them are doing damage to their opponents, which I thought was really good stuff. Sayaka Kurura has been working on some submissions. She's been doing a great job working in from a psychology aspect and a ring positioning aspect of the rear naked choke. And I would like to see her win maybe a few matches with the rear naked choke because the way that she's been building it, especially if she hits the spear and then she goes into rear naked choke, I think that'd be really good because the spear, even though it does attack your midsection, but also hits your neck off the apron, opens up the door for a rear naked choke. I would love to see a nice 1-2 combination with Sayaka hitting the spear into the rear naked choke Eventually, though, this comes down to some really great double teams from Peach Rock onto Sayaka Kurura that opens up the door for Momo Kohgo with the 619 DDT and that jumping crucifix bomb. That's called what's it called, Rob? The May bomb?
Momon Pa.
Momon Pa.
It's a
Dodon
play
Pa.
on the Dodon Pa, yeah.
Okay. I knew there was a name for it. That's why I had it in parentheses here. So that makes sense. Again, it's a basically almost like a running version of the Dodon Pa. So it's a move that basically maybe Mayu taught her that Momo puts her own spin on, which is really, really cool. And it might be Momo's best move, especially when she hits it. And Sayaka did a great job taking the bump, making it look as devastating as possible. Another 4-star match for me, but it's nice seeing that you have main eventer champion Tam, main eventer champion Mayu. They weren't chanting Mayu, they weren't chanting Tam, and they were great. They were chanting for Momo Kohgo, and you can see her visibly shook it in the best way possible. She was really emotional.
So nice, yeah.
And what a great moment. I mean, there's been some great moments in Stardom. There's been some great matches. This is one that's going to stick with us. This one's going to stick with because it's like finally she got her just due. Only for Eden L the next night, which I don't understand what she'll get. It's like, oh my God, you have her now. You have her somebody now that is over. Let's start building her up in some wins. And then she loses the next night. Like, why did you? Again, we'll get into it. But
Roddy Yagami and Matoy as well.
Yeah, it's not like she was like in a singles match with Micah. You know what I mean? It's just like, no, we need to protect. But anywho, so it's just like, no, we got her. We got her right where we want her. And it's really interesting. Again, we were texting each other back and forth that they started announcing the cards for this weekend. Mayu and Momo Kohgo on that Sunday show is going to be really interesting to see where they go. But again, Momo Kohgo is on a roster that's got Micah, Hazuki, Tam, Natsupoi, Starlight Kid. Momo Kohgo is like one of the most interesting people coming out of this tournament now because of the fact that she ate all these losses, but at the same time got over like crazy, especially in this match. So yeah, kudos to them because they have another problem on their hand, Rob, in a good way. Because it's like, okay, we got Momo Kohgo over now. What do we do with her? And I'm all for it. I'm all excited to see what they're gonna do with Momo, especially coming off this weekend because she is wrestling Mayu.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a proving ground as well. I imagine that will be where we're going with that, but it's going to be a great match. And between them, I've got to say that Peach Rock throw two of the best super kicks on the entire roster. And it was two very, very good super kicks that led to the finish. Moving on then to Star Fox and Hate Supreme. Star Fox have now completed their tournament allocation. They are technically still in the tournament, but they are relying on other results to make sure they go through. I personally think that aside from maybe the Sayori Poi match, this is Hate Supreme's best block match. And that is based a lot on the Momo Watanabe and Mei Sarah exchanges, but also Momo Watanabe and Kohaku, who I thought were really good together. The thing, my issue a little bit with Hate Supreme is that their matches are quite repetitive. They're very samey. We have the formulaic, if you will, and with the exception of that Sayori Poi match and the Devil Princess match, actually, as well, where it was flipped on his head by Tekla, ending up injuring that arm again. This was really, really good. And it was because we were relying less on the shenanigans, which I don't mind if you're a heel team, but doing the same thing over and over and over again just seems pointless. But that might just be me, but I think that this was a good indication of how Hate can dominate without necessarily just returning to the tropes that we always go to.
The one thing about Hate Supreme, and we didn't really know how severe Tekla's injury is. We thought maybe she's just using the cast to get some old school heat. And again, I always go back to the Cowboy Bob Orton stuff from some like 35, 36 years ago. So 40 years ago, 40 years ago. So, but considering the fact, and we'll get into it, that she's suspended until Dream Queendom, that means that leads me to believe that she's taking time off to hopefully get that wrist
1,000%. Yeah,
because
1,000%.
It could, obviously you need to have this team in the tournament because you're the tag champs, and it's going to happen to anybody. It was almost you don't never want to see anybody get injured, but you got to give Tekla credit for still doing the best she can. Yeah. And the fact that she's not Mayu, she's not Micah, she's not Hazuki. What I mean by that, she's a heel. She's and maybe one of your best pure heels in this company. So it's like she's going to use that to her advantage. And then once certain things get repetitive, you tag in Momo Watanabe, who's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. So, and that's what happened in this match. You see Star Fox is using their high-speed style offense to get the early advantage on Momo Watanabe. And Momo, bless her, it's amazing. Bump feed, bump feed, bump feed. Tekla takes it out. Outside trip. Boom. Now we get into the chair bowling. We get to the cheating. We get to the bending of the rules. Tekla comes in and is putting heat on. She's putting heat on. Then eventually Tekla gets tagged out. Momo Watanabe's in there. Great stuff with Kohgo. But very much like in the 5-star Grand Prix, May Sarah and Momo Watanabe, it's like, that's a thing I didn't think was going to work, but it worked. But yeah, why wouldn't? Obviously, the two different styles, but at the same time, Momo Watanabe is world class. May Sarah's world class. Of course, they're going to make it work because they're two professionals. And we get a very much similar, great finish towards the end where you didn't know which way it was going to go. But ultimately, it's May Sarah almost outfoxing, for lack of a better term, one Momo Watanabe to get the win. Yes, I didn't even mean to do that. 4 stars for me. Again, another solid match. Obviously, Momo Watanabe's carrying this team for the obvious reasons. The Tekla can't perform the way that she wants to. But again, you got to give Tekla credit. She's toughing it out in this tournament, and she's using the cash to her advantage to get heat in the match. But once it's time for the match to ramp up, you tag in Momo Watanabe. So they're doing a great job with it. I see your point where it's formulaic, but almost kind of has to be. My guess is if Tekla's 100% and that cast is off, come Dream Queendom, we're going to see a really banger of a tag title match, regardless of who wins this tournament. You know, whether it's FWC, whether it's Suzu and Starlight Kid, regardless, you know, and they did a good date start. And again, we'll talk about it when we talk about the next show. Stardom did a good job about, okay, we need to heal Tekla up. How do we do it? We'll just have her beat up everybody, have her beat up Tara Okada, and have her say words that we can't say on this podcast, and she just happens to be suspended until the end of the show. So, and it's a good way to kind of keep her off, heal her up, let her do some stuff on maybe some press conferences or do some stuff on social media to build whatever match they're going to have. Because again, at the very end, she was making sure she was yelling at Wing Gory because that's the match that they got disqualified and the match that she got suspended for. So there's something there, Rob. To me, I think there's something there. Again, a really good match, especially Momo Watanabe just making sure she does everything she can to get this match over because Momo Watanabe, 4 stars for me. But Star Fox, very much like I and Yuna, team that you're like, oh, that's kind of scratching your head. Why are we getting this team? And like, I don't care because they were great. They were great. And we say all the time, sign the Inaba sisters. I wouldn't be heartbroken if Kohgo is signed as long as they put her in Neo Genesis because I think her style fits in well with the Azumis, the Miyus, the Suzus, the Starlight Kids, and obviously May Sarah. I think her style fits in perfectly with Neo Genesis.
Yeah. I think Tekla as well, they were in a bit of a hard place, to be perfectly honest, Stardom, because at one point, Historic Crossover was almost solely built around Natsupoi and Tekla. And I feel like if Tekla wasn't working Historic Crossover, Stardom were in a little bit of a bind in terms of storyline going into Historic Crossover. Because again, aside from we've got the 5-star winner and the G1 winner together, we hadn't got anything for Historic Crossover because at that point, don't forget, we hadn't had Mayu and Momo announced. So we were sort of hanging our hat, I think, with the Clark Connors spear on Clark and Tekla versus Natsupoi and obviously what would be Taichi. I think were Tekla, I think they've patched her up as best they can to get her onto that show and get her through this tournament. And then obviously this fine and suspension is cover for, I imagine, time to get that wrist sorted or that arm sorted, whatever it is, which makes the brutality she sustained at the hands of Devil Princess a couple of weeks ago even more impressive. Obviously, I know we did say we weren't going to talk about non-tournament matches, but I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention the main event. Obviously, a great match. Very rarely do we see the Three Sisters of Stardom team together, or the new Three Sisters of Stardom, at least. And the interesting dynamic between Starlight Kid Ruaka and Sayarida as the opposing team. I thought this was a really, really good match. A really fun way to end the show. Have the Three Sisters standing tall and tease a big show in Utsunomiya next year in February, which, according to Hanan, has got more video and more lighting. So it sounds like we might be getting a pay-per-view level show from the Utsunomiya Light Cube in February next year.
Yeah, I thought you made mention we started the show that Hana and Hina came out to do a promo with like the mayor of the town, whatever, but no Rena, which is great. You know, she's the heel. I like that. We're sticking to kayfabe. And then I liked how Hanan and Hina they come out to do their big entrance, and then Rena just cuts right through them because she's the big heel. Where she's just
Yeah.
like, I was like, because they got again, this was a sellout, and they all got great ovations. I'm sitting here watching this. We've seen the new brass of Stardom. They have no problem putting in teams that aren't in factions, and I'm sitting there before this match even starts. I'm like, I wouldn't be hurt if they do the sisters versus Tam Nasapoi and Soriano for the artist belts because I think that would draw really well. It's like you have the work rate angels and the three sisters. I would love to see that as an artist match. And then they're not getting along. And then you see it's like, wait, who's on what team? And then they're forcing Sayaka to do pinfalls over here. You just see Rena working heel. And then obviously Starlight Kid, in my opinion, she's the MVP of this match. Ruaka was terrific. And then as the match is getting along, getting towards the end, you see great triple teamwork from the sisters. And like, oh, okay, that's what that would look like. Again, I would love to see the sisters, Hana, Hina, and Rena, challenge for the artist belt, especially if it's Tam, Natsupoi, and Soriano, because that would be a banger of a match. They do again. I like it how they had the flowers. Rena gets the red flowers because she wears red. Hina got the blue flowers because she wears blue, and obviously Hana with the yellow. However, at the end, when this match was over, they all took their flowers back, except Hina only took one rose because she used them as a weapon early on in the match. So I thought that was really funny. It was like the only cheating really came from her. Even Ruaka didn't do that much cheating. I thought Sayaka was terrific, and we got to see Wingori kind of explode a little too. They had some great chemistry with Sayaka and Hanan. Obviously, they're better as a team. Starlight Kid, again, because this main event was all about the sisters in their hometown. Starlight Kid never takes a day off. She was just like, yeah, that's fine. I got no problem putting them over, but I'm going to make sure I look good. And this match looks really good. This match was great. It's my favorite match of the show. It was a loaded show. And again, I had it 4.25 stars. But again, I would not be hurt to see the sisters challenge the work rate angels for the artist belts coming off this match, especially those last 4 or 5 minutes where we saw some great double teamwork and triple teamwork between the sisters. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. And again, you sold this building out. Hopefully you run it back again in February. Put the sisters on again. You know, not unless you have something going on. Put them on again. Put it for an artist match. You know, I mean, who knows? But yeah, really solid stuff to end another solid show, good sir.
Absolutely. So
streamers too, and there were streamers. We're back for this match.
Streamers. Love the streamers. Let's move on then. I apologize because I'm going to have to flick to my screen to get the because my iPad's just run out of battery. So I apologize if it looks like I'm clicking around on my computer so that I've got my results. But moving on then, we are looking ahead to the final night of Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, Sunday, the 1st of December, 2024, night 15. And boy, howdy, are there some scenarios. But before that, we are in Duo Cerezo in Juetsu Nigata. I apologize if I've butchered that name. There is a very high probability that I have. But the announced attendance was 426. Now, interesting little tidbit here. This is the lowest house that Stardom have drawn to the venue in the 3 times they've run it. However, it is still the highest attendance at the venue this year. With only TJPW and DDT running it aside from Stardom. So, yes, perhaps a negative that it hasn't drawn as well as other shows there. They ran it in February 2023 as a part of the Triangle Derby, and they drew 500 and something. But to still have the highest attendance at the venue in 2024 is still a good thing to have in mind. In terms of the qualification scenarios, so already qualified for the playoffs, we've got Sayori Poi from Blue Stars, and we have got Fukuoka Double Crazy and Cup High Mate, who have both qualified from Red Goddess. I'm not going to go through the eliminated because we'll be here forever. Right, so Blue Goddess, this is what needs to happen. In terms of people in the strongest position, Hate Supreme and Mad Tiger Girl. If Hate Supreme win, they qualify. If Mad Tiger Girl win, they qualify. Okay? If those two win, it's easy in Blue Stars. However, in terms of Wingori, they need to beat Hate Supreme and they need to have Team Classroom defeat Mad Tiger Girl. In terms of Star Fox, who aren't in action on this show, they need Team Classroom to beat Mad Tiger Girl. and they need Hate Supreme to defeat Wingori in order to enforce a tiebreaker match with Mad Tiger Girl because they had that time limit draw. So that's Blue Goddess. In Red Goddess, anything can bloody happen because there's only 2 teams that have been eliminated at this point, Narbor Yagami and Peach Rock, and everyone and their dog is on 6 points. So bear with me. HANAKO, which is Syuri and Saki Kashima, they needed to beat BMI 2000 and hope that Psy Queen defeat O2 Line because they hold the tiebreaker over Psy Queen. Psy Queen need to defeat O2 Line and hope that the HANAKO versus BMI 2000 match ends in a draw. So time limit or double count out doesn't matter. O2 Line, they need to beat Psy Queen and hope that HANAKO beat BMI 2000 as O2 Line hold the tiebreaker over HANAKO and over Tokamaki Pure in Ala Mode. Speaking of Tokamaki Pure in Ala Mode, they need to beat Cup High Mate and hope that O2 Line and Psy Queen ends in a draw because they hold the tiebreakers over both HANAKO and BMI 2000. Are you with me? Clear as mud? I know. It took me a bloody age to work out the qualification scenarios in Red Goddess, but we got there in the end.
Question.
Go on.
What does the Killer Bees have to do to qualify?
Don't you start with me, Turner. Don't you start. You know how much it took for me to get that out first time.
I haven't dropped the Killer Bee reference in months. I'm well
You
overdue.
haven't.
I will, and I'm wearing this jacket, not a baseball jersey. We haven't done that in a while either.
We haven't. So anyway, the results for this show was again streamed live. So the first 2 matches were live on YouTube. Tag team match: Rani Yagami and Motoi Hamabe defeated Peach Rock for reasons. Mahiru Utani and Momo Kohgo, Rani Yagami pinning Momo Kohgo with the paradiddle in 7 minutes and 7 seconds. In a Blue Goddess match, Sakura Demon, Yuna Mizumori, and Ai Sakura ended the tournament on a winning note, 6 points, defeating Reckless Fantasy, Wax Tsukiyama, and Rian, who end the tournament on 4. Ai Sakura submitting Waka with the modified triangle choke in 9 minutes and 13 seconds. 3-way match, Natsupoi defeated Rina and Macedo with the Fairy Ring in 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Red Goddess action, Cup High Mate, Micah and HANAKO do make it to 14 points. They defeated Tokamaki Pure in Ala Mode, which is Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurura. HANAKO getting a pinfall over Sayaka Kurura, who remain on 6 points, pinning Sayaka Kurura with the JP Coaster in 10 minutes and 19 seconds. Blue Goddess match, Mad Tiger Girl, Starlight Kid and Suzuki moved to 11 points. They defeated Reckless Fantasy, Hina and Lady C. They remain on 4 points. Starlight Kid pinning Lady C, with the Moonsault in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Red Goddess action, O2 Line versus Psy Queen ended in a 20-minute time limit draw. Both teams finishing the tournament on 7 points. In your semi-main, the match that's probably got the most coverage, Blue Goddess, Wingori, Hanan, and Saya Ida moved to 9 points, defeating Hate Supreme, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla via countout in 12 minutes and 47 seconds. And then in your main event, Red Goddess match, BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka, they moved to 8 points, defeating HANAKO, Syuri, and Saki Kashima, who remain on 6. Natsukatora pinning Syuri with the Swanton Bomb in 13 minutes and 8 seconds. So that only does tell us half the story. So, Matt, let's delve straight in to Sakura Demon and Reckless Fantasy, because even though it mattered very little in the grand scheme of the points totals, it was still a very good match. Aya Sakura once again being the MVP.
Yeah, I like how this match starts off with Moonlight Fantasy. It was just like we started out hot, we were fizzling out, but let's try to end this on a high note. And they started out with some great teamwork on Yuna. Like, just really great job cutting the ring off. And then Aya Sakura, very young in her wrestling career, was like, yeah, even though I'm not the legal person, I need to save Yuna Mizumori because she is taking a shellacking, a 2-on-1 shellacking. She comes in and saves Yuna. Great stuff there. Great, know how. It's just like, well, she's getting double teamed. Let me come in and try to even up the odds. Really good stuff there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Aya Sakura was terrific here. They made sure to highlight her properly in this match. She gets the triangle choke to Waka, which then is eventually used for the finish. Eventually, she gets back the triangle choke and then transitions into the armbar. I thought there was some excellent stuff there. Yuna and Aya, again, as a tag team, once they start get going as a tag team, it's pretty much the downfall of Moonlight Fantasy. Again, I like the psychology here where Moonlight Fantasy starts out fast, Yuna slows it down, and then we see the great teamwork of Aya and Yuna that eventually leads into that modified armbar from Aya to Waka. I had this at 4 stars. Just another terrific outing between these two teams that, again, we knew they would have good matches, but not like this. These two teams had excellent matches, especially Aya and Yuna, just absolutely tearing it up.
We move on then to Cup High Mate and Tokamaki Pure in a la mode. Obviously, the victory for Cup High Mate means that they move to 14 points. They remain in second place, so they will go into the playoffs. But that 14 points, as I mentioned before, is a record they share with Fukuoka Double Crazy. The match does mean that Tokamaki Pure in a la mode are eliminated from the tournament. But Matt, I think it's fair to say that Sayaka Kurura, as I mentioned earlier on in the show, has been something of a shining light in this tournament. I think she's been tremendous. Her and Aya Sakura getting really good pushes and have been knocking it out of the park when they've had the opportunity. But again, HANAKO getting the pinfall.
Yeah, and again, Tim and Sayaka working really well as a team early on HANAKO. And Micah was like, okay, I had enough of that. She comes in, she halts the double teaming from the Cosmic Angels team. And then we get some great stuff back and forth with Tim and Micah. They had a great World of Stardom Championship match just a few months ago. Just a terrific outing between the two. We get a little bit of that here. And then we mentioned before about how great Sayaka Kurura's spear is and especially how Tam sets it up for her. I could be wrong, but they hit a double spear on HANAKO in this match, and I don't think they've done that before. So now it's like Tam is joining in the spear fun. So I really like that. I thought that was really cool because, again, HANAKO is probably the biggest person in this company, so it takes the double spear from the champion and maybe the new master of the spear in one Sayaka Kurura. Eventually, the master of the spear. Eventually, Micah does enough to take Tam out of the match for enough time for eventually HANAKO to put the finishing touches on Sayaka Kurura, hitting the JP coaster. 4.25 stars for me. I thought this match was terrific. I thought it was great psychology. I thought we got just enough Tam and Micah there to kind of build this match back up, but ultimately just some great teamwork from Cup High Mate to take Tam out and to isolate the young rookie in Sayaka Kurura for HANAKO to put the for HANAKO to put the finishing touches on one Sayaka Kurura.
Mad Tiger Girl managed to eliminate a whole host of teams with their victory over Reckless Fantasy. Again, something of a routine victory, I feel, for Mad Tiger Girl here. They have qualified now in second place. And they will obviously go into the playoffs. So at the moment in blue block, there are Sayori Poi and Mad Tiger Girl qualified. That being said, Matt, when I say it's routine, I again think that Lady C was another high performer in this match. And even though I think everyone was aware that Mad Tiger Girl, when it was noted that they had Team Classroom on the final night, I don't think it was a shock to see Mad Tiger Girl win, and in fairly handy timings, less than 10 minutes.
I liked how this match, it looked like it was going to be very much like Sayori Poi versus Moonlight Fantasy. You're just going to have this main event team steamroll a team that's already eliminated because it's a win. They need a win in order to qualify for the playoffs. You see the great double teamwork from Suzu and Starlight Kid. You see the double drive-by. You see the double standing moonsault. And they're really just piling one move on after another after another. Then it's Hina that halts it with the double judo throws. She does the one judo throw, and she's been doing like the ripcord.
The ripcord one.
I really like that. And then she stops and sells. Then Lady C comes in and she's the hammer. She hits the huge choke slam to Starlight Kid. And Starlight Kid does a great job jumping for Lady C to make it look even more impactful. Then Lady C does the giant swing onto Suzu. Then she does the double ab stretch to both members of this Neo Genesis team and Suzuki and Starlight Kid. So I like that. It looks like they're going to get steamrolled, but it's the Hina judo throws that get this match back into the favor of Team Classroom. They hit the 3D, they start rolling, and then eventually Suzuki says, okay, enough of this. Enough of this. She just comes in all sorts of striking. Starlight Kid does the head scissors into the headlock takeover to basically put down Team Classroom. And then we see Suzu and Starlight Kid really build up their offense. Eventually, though, it is Suzuki that sets up Lady C that sets up Starlight Kid for that top rope moonsault. And that's a move we don't see Starlight Kid win enough matches with. She's got a beautiful moonsault, gets the job done here. Again, a really, really good match considering it looked like it was going to be one-sided. A great, great outing from Team Classroom, but just too much star power from Suzu and Starlight Kid in this one. 4 stars for me, good sir.
Yeah, and this does eliminate Star Fox, and means that the last Blue Goddess match, which is the semi-main between Wingori and Hate Supreme, was basically a playoff for that third and final qualification spot. 2 teams that won't be joining them in the qualifiers for Red Goddess are O2 Line and Sayaka Matani and Konami Psy Queen, because a time limit draw leaves them both on 7 points and eliminates both teams, which makes BMI 2000 versus Anacon another block playoff. But Matt, in terms of a time limit draw, we talk about how when used sparingly, they can be really good. What was your thought on this match? And I've got a feeling I know what your thoughts on this match were.
This, I have to sit down and think about. This might be my new favorite match of the tournament.
It's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, this was as good as Wingori versus Saori Poi, which again I think we're seeing again this weekend. We'll get into that in a moment. But this was great considering I didn't watch this live, but everyone was telling me how great the match was, and I was like, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's both teams are great. Obviously, O2 Line's terrific. Konami, Sai Kamatani's great. I thought the reason why everybody was saying the match was great is because of Zumi and Saya Kamatani, because they have that history and that chemistry together. Don't get me wrong, they were really good. And obviously, O2 Line as a team was really good, and Mia was great. Konami and Azumi and you're just like, oh yeah, Konami's really good. And they only brought out the spray can just for a split second, and it made sense. It made sense towards the line because it was getting towards the end where
Konami, it was the last resort.
Yeah, exactly. 100% right. Couldn't say it better myself, my man. It was they could not do anything to put these 2 away. They're just so resilient. Miyu Amasaki's terrific. And again, Azumi does a great job setting up Miyu for success with the DDTs, with the teamwork, making sure that she's in the right spot at the right time. And then Miyu's just terrific. She's another one. She's another one that is in a year or 2, it's going to be challenging for that Wonder of Stardom Championship. No doubt about it. Because she's just terrific. And again, being in the ring with Azumi isn't hurting her at all, and being across the ring from Saya Kamatani and a Konami that when she's putting away the shenanigans, and I understand she's a heel, you need to beat up, you need to build up heat, but they were probably like, we need to go 20 minutes. It can't all be cheap stuff. We got to go out there and do what we do. And Konami's such a great wrestler. We made mention it when we saw her live at the Wrestle Factory on that WrestleMania Sunday. But like, Konami's such a great wrestler. She just gets lost in the shuffles of the Mayus, of the Azumis, of the Starlight Kids, of the Hazukis, because the roster is so packed. But this is like probably her best outing all year. And she's had some good ones, don't get me wrong. But these whole run of shows that we're reviewing, Konami was terrific. And again, she's another one. Once tapped on the shoulder, give her a Wonder Stardom Championship match, whether it's Natsupoi, whether it's Starlight Kid, whether it's Hazuki. Yes, please, Stardom. Give us that Hazuki white belt run. She was terrific here. Maybe the MVP of this entire show, but this was a great singles match with Azumi Konami. It was a great tag match. Kamatani, of course, is great. She comes in, she halts the O2 Line offense with that springboard high cross body, which again gets a big pop because nobody's booing it because Saya Kamatani is really a baby face. And I mean that in the best way possible. Azumi is able to come back on Konami with some brutal head kicks. And that double stomp she hits Konami with, she properly tried to get Konami to stay in the middle of the ring for the rest of eternity because she hit that double stomp with some force. And Konami was like, okay, no problem. Konami comes back with force with the strikes and the kicks. We get the double kick at Goye to Azumi for a 2 count. And I didn't know how this match ended. I was literally because I didn't see this until a day or 2 after. But I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, when is this going to end? Because they're building and building. Then you hear the countdown. And usually you hear that countdown because we've seen it in Stardom. They love their time limit draws. A little less this year. But I'm like, I don't think it's going to go to time limit draw because what they're teasing towards the end. And Azumi's such genius. And Kamatani's coming in and breaking up falls. And then it looks like Konami's going to get the triangle answer for a submission. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Miyu Amasaki to break it up. It was a great psychology match. Really great stuff back and forth. Everything made sense. But those last 2-3 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat because I had no idea which way it was going to go. And the bell rings. As much as I wanted O2 Line win here for obvious reasons because I had them going into the finals, I was not disappointed with the time limit drop because of the effort these two teams put in. This was terrific, and you're absolutely right. That spray can made sense because it was a last resort. Ultimately backfired a little bit that I thought was going to cause the finish, but it didn't. It was just excellent stuff, and it's great seeing when Konami wants to go. And again, I get it. She's a heel. She needs to do the cheating because that's her spot in this roster. It's a good spot to have. Don't get me wrong, but when she kind of takes down the cheating a little and then goes back to the work rate, she's as good as anybody in this roster, and that's saying something. That's saying something. 4 3/4 stars for me, my friend. Again, not only one of my favorite matches of this tournament, when I do my top 150 tag matches in Joshi this year, this match will definitely make the cuts because there's been so many good ones, not just in Stardom, but obviously
Marigold. Sendai Girls.
Yeah, Marigold's had some great ones. I talked about in the Marigold Standard this past week. The semi-main event was a great tag match, but there's been some great tag matches in Joshi. Obviously, Stardom has the bulk of them, but they're not alone. Sendai Girls, Marigold, obviously the Saryism shows, and this is just another one. This is another one. Again, 4 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Moving on then to what was effectively the Blue Goddess block final, if you want, the playoff. And this will be known for the Tekla spitting a dummy out at the loss. There was a count out which resulted in Hate Supreme being eliminated, Wingori being the third team through. Stardom did announce because basically, and it is available on their Twitter page, Tekla goes to town on Hanan, beats her up in front of Taro Okada, then attacks Taro Okada, then knocks out a ring official and has to be dragged backstage. As a result, the following day, 2nd of December, it was announced that Stardom had suspended Tekla for 3 weeks without pay until the 22nd of December show in Hashioji, following the intentional assault of a staffer. Thankfully, that staffer has been discharged from hospital with a diagnosis of bruising, but would be missing for around a month of action. Now, there was a little bit, and I thought this was interesting, there was a little bit of looking at some of the comments, and from Japanese fans as well as Western fans who weren't sure about the, and I quote, WWEing of this angle. And obviously, I know that I think we both think now it's to cover for Tekla's recovery from the injury. Are you a fan of the angle? What was your reaction to the angle? And what was your reaction to the sports entertainment elements of it?
I love it. It was genius. Again, this is, in my opinion, a way to get Tekla off the road to heal that arm because we need a banger of a match at Dream Kingdom. It's your big show at the end of the year. Again, we made mention that this thing's going to do, 3,700 because the tickets are selling fast. So you need a banger of a match, and we need Tekla as healthy as possible. This is a great way to keep her out of the ring to heal up. Let's just suspend her. Not only that, but then you build up, because I didn't know who was. I did have my pre-show pick was Wingori, and then as the tournament was going, I'm like, I'm not sure. They can kind of go either way. And when we preview the finals here in a few minutes, I still think it's going to be Wingori because you already set this up. Because when did this DQ happen or counter happen? And it gets Wingori. Who is the main focus? Hanan. Tekla cuts a promo as she's being carried out. So there's more heat there. So why not have Wingori win the tournament? When Tekla comes back, this is the match. And they're going to have a press conference soon with Tekla there, and it's going to be all sorts of chaos because that's what we do at press conferences when we're starting, folks. So again, I totally agree with you. I think that this is her being suspended for 3 weeks is to get her healed up and ready to go for the end of the year and then the beginning of next year. This is a great way to do it because technically Wingori, they do win this match, qualifies them for the playoffs. It does knock Hate Supreme out, but they never got a pinfall victory. So now maybe we replay it at Dream Kingdom or on the 3rd. That's a possibility as well because we need matches there for the championship with Tekla 100% coming back for suspension. Not only that, Rob, but now I'm going to go further down the rabbit hole of dream booking. I do think we're seeing a Momo Watanabe face turn sometime in 2025. You literally can have her first program with Tekla. 1, it's going to be great. 2, Momo can blame Tekla for getting suspended and for them getting not thrown out of the tournament, but they couldn't qualify because she couldn't keep her heat in check. And not only that, if they lose the belts to Wingori and it's something because of Tekla did, whether it's a missed spear or something, she gets pinned, Momo can pin that on her as well. So you've already planted the seeds for a Momo face turn based off what you did here. So you have different layers of psychology and storytelling that you can do coming off this match. The match was fine. I mean, it's Wingori, Momo, Tekla was fine, 3 3/4 stars, but it's all about the angle. No matter what they did in the match, they had a solid match. Don't give away everything, because regardless of who wins this tournament, there's a program there. There's a program there with Hate Supreme and Wingori, definitely. Whether it's for the belts or not, I don't know. I think it's going to be, but there's a program there. So only give a little. Only give a little and then do the lot. There's a lot they can do. Again, solid stuff. I like the way that they're doing with Tekla. We suspended her. This is the reason why. She beats up Tara Okada again. Maybe it's just because we've been watching a lot of Dump Matsumoto. I would thought maybe Tara Okada should maybe a little color. You know what I mean? If we're gonna go out, let's go. I understand this isn't 1985 All Japan Women's, but this is Stardom, and Stardom's kind of for the kids. But if we're gonna suspend Tekla, let's get some color on Tara Okada. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. That's what I would have done. But no, I thought this was a very well done angle. And again, Tekla screaming obscenities that we can't repeat on this show about Hanan leads me to believe there's way more to this story that's probably going to happen at Dream Kingdom.
Okay. And moving on then to that final show, it'll be BMI 2000 who make the third place, knocking out Anacon. But that's only half the story, because once again, Konami costs Syuri. Hits her with a German suplex just as she's about to set for the win, allowing Natsukatora to hit the Swanton for the win. Matt, I feel like this program has to be some sort of stipulation match at Dream Queendom. And it was well done, because you want BMI 2000 in that playoff. Okay. You want to pin Syuri. How are you going to do that? You're going to continue to add more fuel to the Konami and Syuri fire. But I feel like if they're going to do a stipulation match at Dream Queendom, or even just another one-on-one match, Syuri needs to win, and she needs to win decisively. Because at the moment, and I don't have an issue with this booking at all at the moment, just FYI. At the moment, Syuri and the rest of God's Eye are being made to look like schmucks by Hate. And, that's fine, because they're the heel team. That's what they're doing. Syuri can't control that emotion when it comes to Konami and when it comes to Hate in particular. But I feel like she needs to get that bit of comeuppance at Dream Queendom, because at the moment it has been rather one way, which is fine, because that's what you're building to. If Syuri doesn't get that victory at Dream Queendom, if that's where they're going, which I think it is, it does seem to be that way, I feel like Syuri is just being one-upped if she doesn't get the win at Dream Queendom.
I'm going to kind of agree but disagree with you. If they go that match, I think Konami gets the win, and then you do it either at the third or a Korakuen show, because where do the heel turn happen? In Korakuen. Maybe you do it your first Korakuen of the new year for the blow-off. I think there's more than one match. We got that one match in the summertime that was basically a big schmage, and then it led into the 5-star, and then into the Goddess. We never really got, we're like, where are they going with this? And then it's like, oh, here it is right here. I liked how this is your last tournament match before you go into the playoffs. We needed to send BMI 2000 into the playoffs. What's the best way to do it? Who's the biggest star in this match? Syuri, right? No doubt about it. Biggest star in the match. We pinned Syuri to send the big heel team in the tournament. How do we do it? We do it by breaking the rules, having Konami do it. So you planted that seed. You have Tori, your leader of Hate, former red belt champion, get the win again in the final actual bracket match. So that makes sense. We have a lot of steam to the heel team going into the tournament, getting the win, last match against the main eventer, using Konami to do it. Obviously, they could have had, the crate or this, that, and the other thing, but it was specifically Konami who cheated more in this match than she did in her actual match, which I got no problem with. None. Zero. But you're right. This is clearly, to me, and I don't want this Konami Syuri match to be God's Eye versus Hate, because we've seen that before. It's going to be at Queendom. Yeah. Let them do a singles match. Again, I would maybe even have Konami get a win. Konami has not had a big singles win in a long, long time. Have Konami beat Syuri. Obviously, if Syuri gets the win, I'm not going to complain, because it's Syuri. And then let's put Syuri back into the red belt scene, or even the white belt. She's never really challenged it for it ever since, in the last few years. She had that match with Julia, went to the time limit draw. But Let's get Shuri back in the championship hunt because she's terrific. We've seen it. Get her in the red belt or the white belt scene. But I would maybe have Konami win at Dream Queendom, build Konami up, and then maybe have Shuri have the blow off. Maybe a UWFI rules match inside a cage. Like do it that way. Like do like that old Shamrock Vader where they had the actual rules match, but they did it inside of a cage because when you're fighting in a cage. And you can do that maybe at the anniversary show or at a court and something like that. Regardless, I like how it's like, yeah, we're going back to Konami and Shuri because we all want to see it. Again, put that match on the undercard for what is going to be a loaded show with championship matches. I mean, we really are on the precipice of an all-time show. We really, really are. And Stardom's been putting on some banger shows the last 3 or 4 years. Now, I hope I'm not jinxing it, and it's just a whole bunch of tag matches. But I mean, they really, really are. Again, we'll probably find out probably Monday or Tuesday, or probably Thursday right after we record.
Obviously, yes.
But regardless, really solid match. I like the outcome. I like how they got there. 4 stars for me, my friend.
I do agree, but I also disagree. I think you run the risk of spreading the feud too thin if you don't put a definitive end on it at Dream Queendom. I feel like there isn't quite enough heat to sustain it unless you do something else astronomical at Dream Queendom. And the only reason I say that is because you can use that victory then from Syuri as a launching pad into another red belt match or another white belt match or whatever. I feel like, Syuri has been sort of treading water for a while. Obviously, we've been trying to get this feud with Konami. 5-Star interrupted it, and then the Goddess of Stardom tournament interrupted it. They've done well reigniting it. That's great. But I think that the natural conclusion to that will be Dream Queendom. Now, if they are to do another match, fine. But you need to add more fuel to it. I think in its current guise, Dream Queendom is the natural end to it. And you can make it be an absolute brawl. I don't mind that. But Syuri needs a victory because, yes, she had an all right 5-star Grand Prix. But otherwise, she's been shown up repeatedly. And it has been repeatedly because I can't think of the last time that God's Eye got anything meaningful over hate at all. And that's from July. So...
yeah, we'll find out. I just think this reminds me of just Tam and Natsupoi from 2 years ago where they had like that 3-match series and it was done quickly. I just think that I like to get more than one match. And I don't count that match in the summer because it seems like it was so long ago. I just think there's more than one match. But again, it is Dream Queendom, so they have Shuri just put the boots to Konami at the end, hit her with the Ruin and then maybe submit her. I got no problem with that. Regardless, it's going to be a terrific match. And again, they reignited the feud just by doing one thing, which is a credit to how great Konami is.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Anyway, so that does bring us to the final 2 shows of the tournament. The first one, of course, being on the 7th. Now, the 7th is both the playoffs and the semi-finals. So currently, as it stands on the 7th of December in Act City Hamamatsu, on the Red Goddess side, we have got Cup High Mate versus BMI 2000. The winner of that will then face FWC in the semi-finals. On the Blue Goddess side, you have got Mad Tiger Girl versus Wingori in your playoff match, and they will then, or the winner of that match, will then face off with Sayori Poi in the semi-finals. And then, of course, those 2 teams that win those 2 semi-finals, they will go on to the final on the 8th of December, again, at City Hamamatsu. Before I ask you, Matt, for your predictions going into it, the rest of the card for that show has been announced. And obviously, the main event will be the return of Fukigen Death, and rightly so. But no, there is a 10-woman tag. Hate, Sayaka Mitani, Konami, Momo Watanabe, Rina, and Queen Clown against the God's Eye team of Syuri, Saki Kashima, Hina, Lady C, and Rana Yagami. We have also got a 6-woman tag. The team of Mayu Iwatani, Momo Kohgo, and Matoi Hamabe versus the Neo Genesis side of Azumi Meisera and Miyu Amasaki. Singles match. Wakasukiyama versus Rian. We seem to be doing a lot of collapsing of tag teams recently. And then we have got Sakura Damon versus Tokameki, Purin, Alan Mode, as well as those aforementioned playoff and semi-final matches. So, Mike, you're very much of the opinion that Wingori will make it through to the final on the 8th on the blue side. Who do you think is going through on the red side? I know what I think, but that's me.
No disrespect to BMI 2000 and Hanako and Micah. They've been great in this tournament. You have just a great tournament. You want to put on your best match as your final. You have FWC right there. To me, it's going to be FWC. I think they're going to. I don't know who's going to win that quarterfinal match with BMI 2000 and Mike and Hanako. I'm going to say BMI 2000. So you have your heel team, very much like Ruaka going into the semifinals of the Cinderella team that everybody's going to be against, and everybody's going to be cheering for FWC because they're the big baby faces that everybody loves, and Tora and Ruaka are the big heels that everybody will pay to boo. So my guess is going to be BMI 2000 is going to defeat Cup High Mate, but I'm not too sure on that one. And then FWC is going to be defeat the hate team of Tora and Ruaka. And then, yes, as far as blue goes, I think it's going to be Wingori getting the win over Suzu and Starlight Kid, and then getting the win over Siripoi, thus setting up an all-stars final in more ways than one of Wingori versus FWC. Now, Rob Goodwin, if my prediction is true, just think about these 3 matches that Wingori is going to have in about 24 hours' time. They'll be taking on Suzu and Starlight Kid. Hell yeah. They'll be taking on Siripoi. Hell yeah. They'll be taking on FWC. I think anyway, hell yeah. I think any way you slice it, no matter who goes through the blue star, even if it's Suzu and Starlight Kid that get the win, they're gonna have a great match with Siripoi. And then whoever comes out of the blue stars block, I mean, they're an A+ team. So again, as far as red goes, again, BMI 2000, solid team. Mike and Hanako, solid team. I think if it's not FWC, I think it's a missed opportunity from Stardom. I really, really do. It's going to be a great match regardless, even if it is BMI 2000 or Mike and Hanako, but your best team, not only in the tournament not only in your company and all the wrestling, is FWC. It's your last match in this tournament. It would be a missed opportunity if they weren't in the final. So I think it's going to be FWC and Wingori, with Wingori getting the win just based on what we've done with Tekla and Momo, because we built it up and we already have a built-in story. Wingori gets the big win. Hanan gets her second tournament win of the year. Banner year from Hanan. Saida finally getting a huge win. And we already have the built-in story going to Dream Queendom of Hate Supreme versus Wingori because of the suspension and the foul language used by one Tekla. Now, Rob, before I forget, and I'm not even being silly here, who did you have? What was your pre-show final, and who did you have winning it? Because I did have Wingori over O2 line. Obviously, I'm still sticking with Wingori. Who was your pre-show pick to make the final and your overall winner? Because I forget.
I've got a feeling that my overall winner was Wingori.
Look at that.
But I can't remember who I said they were going to beat. We'll have to go back into the preview episode, but it could go 2 ways for me. I think FWC are going to be the finalist on the red side. I think it makes the most sense. You want the best possible final, and if you want the best possible final, you want the best possible tag team, and that's FWC. I don't think it particularly matters who wins that playoff match. However, with the blue side, you've got that built-in story with Wingori. I do agree with that. And I think if push comes to shove, I'd go with Wingori. Especially because, don't forget, they lost to FWC earlier in the year for the Goddess of Stardom titles. So there is also an element of revenge in Wingori versus FWC. You could do Starlight Kid and Suzu because they beat Wingori, beat Siripoi in the semi-finals, again giving Starlight Kid a victory over Natsupoi heading towards Dream Queendom in that white belt match, and then have FWC beat Starlight Kid and Suzu in the final. I think I am probably going Wingori. It makes the most sense from a booking standpoint to get the victory over, as you mentioned, those 3 matches in a row. Bloody hell. What a run. And, you know, you've said about Hanan's year, Cinderella winner, 5-star semi-finalist, and Goddesses of Stardom winner. What a year for her. What a breakout year for Hanan. And finally, Sayaka getting the respect put on her name that she deserves. But that being said, Matt Turner, and also it is worth pointing out, we did actually say there's only been one other match announced for the 8th. Mayu Utani versus Momo Kohgo. Very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and again, we made mention how Mayu the past few shows is really giving a lot of offense to these younger wrestlers. Obviously, we think Mayu's going to get the win there. I don't think she's eating an L before their Tokyo Dome match with Azumi, but I have a feeling that when we review this match next week, sorry, I got something in my eye. When we review this match the next week, that we're like, that was Momo Kohgo's best performance, because Momo's the best she's ever been right now. She's on a roll. She's got the crowd behind her. And I think Mayu's going to go out of her way to give her the best match of her career. I'm so excited for that match and that major opportunity on a pay-per-view with Mayu Utani.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one segment left. And that one segment is, of course, your weekly dose of Io and Kairi Watch.
Folks, Io and Kairi Watch. We go to War Games. Team Rhea versus Team Liv Morgan. For some reason, Io is like second to last coming out on this match. And I was like, oh, what are we doing? Io comes out. She goes underneath the ring and she gets a garbage can. And the crowd pops because we know Io War Games. She will do the no-look moonsault off the cage with the garbage can. I do want to note the garbage can was the same colors as Io's tights. So I thought that was really, really cool. Io goes to do the moonsault with the garbage can as soon as she gets into the cage, but Candice LeRae stops it. I thought that was cool to kind of build it there. I don't know if you saw this War Games, Rob, but there was a lot going on, and the cameras really missed quite a bit, which is kind of a shame. They were kind of putting the focus on certain things in the ring. Io did the double springboard from one rope to the other to a drop kick, and they only caught the end, a la Rey Mysterio from, I think it was like World War III in 1996. And I think Io did it at last War Games or the War Games before, because why not? She's Io Shirai. So they missed that. But for me, the biggest miss in this match is you have your big, huge high spot building towards the end. Tiffany Stratton on one side of the cage, all the baby faces below. Io on the other side of the cage with the garbage can, all the heels below. They do the big spot at the same time. It takes away from what both do. I was like, and it was cool. It got a big pop. Don't get me wrong, but what do you watch? What do you? I know, and again, me being the Io fan that I am, I'm knocking my microphone over. I'm watching Io. So it takes away from Tiffany Stratton's spot. I'm excited, folks. I'm excited. I got Andy Hatter waiting on the other line. He told me it's okay. He just got done watching O2 Line and Cy Queen. I guess he liked it as much as I did. But it takes away. So it's just like what I would have done is I would have had Tiffany Stratton do the spot first and then Io do her spot, because Io's the big baby face and we already teased the garbage can spot. So I don't like it when you have the big spot happening, because what are you looking at? It's taking away from it. That's one thing, and I'm just going to do a little psychology here. It's one thing when FWC does their double dive, because they're doing two dives at once, but it's all in one spot, and they're the two baby faces on the same team, where you have one person on one team and Io on the other. Regardless, I would have changed that up. I think it would have got a bigger spot. Biggest credit in the world goes to Rhea Ripley. John, was she awesome in this match? She's clearly the biggest star in this match. I mean, she's one of the she might be, other than maybe Cody, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns, she might be the biggest star in all of wrestling. Like, she's just on another level. So I understand you're highlighting and you're telling the story of Rhea and Liv Morgan. You're getting towards the end. Everybody's down. We're going to do the ripcord off the top rope through a table. So Rhea picks up Liv, but because the cage is behind her, she can't give Liv up the way that she wants there to protect her from the ripcord. Eventually, she changes position in midair and almost puts her knees down first to protect Liv, which I thought was really cool. Like, what a pro Rhea is to be able to adjust that and her to take the brunt of the bump to protect her opponent. I thought that was really cool. A really good War Games. I just thought it was a few missed opportunities, again, with the camera angle missing, all the great Io stuff, and Tiffany and Io doing their big dives at the same time. I thought took a little bit of away. Ultimately, though, really good finish with Rhea getting, the big bump on Liv Morgan through the table. Really, really solid stuff. That will take us to Monday Night Raw as we see the return of the Sky Pirates, Io and Kairi, taking on the team of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Before the match starts, it is announced that Io will be cashing in her #1 contender shot at the return of Saturday night's main event, which reminds me of the Saturdays in the 80s for me, my man. I'm so excited. Saturday night's main event is back with Jimmy Hart rumored to return. So I'm super pumped for that. This match is like 4 or 5 minutes. It just starts out with heat on Kyrie. It's heat, heat, heat. Eventually, Io comes in. She beats up Liv Morgan. She beats up Raquel Rodriguez. Eventually, Io does the dive to the outside. We see Kyrie hit a couple cutlass on Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel then hits a big boot to Kyrie and the Hana bomb to Kyrie, picking up the win. This match was like 4 minutes. It gave it next to no time to really breathe. I thought it was a match they were going to build because they talked about Saturday night's main event before the match started. So that's where I thought this match was going to go. But that wasn't the case, Rob, because after the match, Raquel and Liv beat down Io and Kyrie, and here comes Rhea Ripley for the save. I was like, oh, come on. Can't we just give Io her moment? Can't we just give Io her moment? However, what I think is going to happen, maybe it's fantasy booking. I think the big program for WrestleMania is Io and Rhea. I think Rhea is going to defeat Liv for the belt, and then Io is going to win either the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble, because as great as Io is, she's nowhere near as the big star that Rhea is. And as big star as Rhea is, she's only had 3 or 4 super solid matches in her catalog. I think Io needs that match so she can match up with Rhea as far as star power. And Io is going to go out of her way to give Rhea one of the best matches she's ever had. So that's my fantasy booking. I think we're eventually going to Io and Rhea at WrestleMania. I'm hoping so. But regardless, fun Io and Kyrie watch. And we shall see what's going to happen in Saturday night's main event in 2 weeks. The return. I think Jesse Ventura is doing commentary as well. So I'm super pumped, man. I'm super pumped. I wonder if I'm going to have to go back to doing all my chores and getting good test grades so my dad will let me stay up late to watch him. That's why I didn't get in trouble as a kid. I was bribed with staying up late for pro wrestling, and my parents would buy me comic books on Fridays. And Rob, guess what I spend all my money on now that I'm 42? Wrestling and comic books.
Absolutely. There are worse things you can spend your money on. Also, I'm told anyway. But yeah, as well, it has been announced today that that's going to air for free on YouTube. So there you go. Saturday night's main event is airing for free on YouTube. So there you go. Make sure you check it out because, you're right, isn't it? Right, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring to an end this episode. I don't want to keep Andy Header waiting any longer than he has to. I do apologize. This episode is going to drop a little bit later. It will still be on Friday, but it will drop later on Friday. So that is my apology to you. I apologize, but hopefully you've enjoyed the near 3 hours that me and Matt have been talking about Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed to listening to the podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget as well, if you want all these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 solitary a month, you can patreon.com/the Check out the website www.talkjoshi.com for all our show reports, news, and reviews from the world of Stardom and of Marigold, and all the histories and all the stats, because we just love giving you stuff. Don't forget, you can also find us on social media at the Stardom Cast or Talk Joshi. Make sure you check us out on YouTube as well if you want to see the video of this podcast. And yeah, you can also talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner, sign us off.
Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, a general chat. You want to talk about the Goddess of Stardom tournament, more than likely I will be up early Saturday and Sunday to watch it live. So hit me up if you want to have a conversation. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and on the Blue Sky as well. Yes, there you go. I got all 3 of them in. And don't forget the email. The email is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. We've had a phenomenal 2024. We're not done yet. We're going to have even a better 2025. And it's because of you, the fantastic support we see from the Stardom Cast Army each and every day, because we greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. Like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together and everybody's different. Everybody's special.